Yes, guys, and welcome back to Spur for a fan show this Monday evening. We have a hell of a lot of things to discuss after that dismal 3-3 draw away to Southampton on Saturday. Tottenham throwing away a 3-1 lead with 6 to go. And then, of course, Conte's explosive preference after the game where he basically called out the play, calling them selfish, saying they just don't have what it takes to win a lot more. Of course, we will be getting on fans out there saying me and Jack will also be going before we get them on. But first of all, how are you, Jack?
Doing pretty good, Dave. I'm kind of actually, to be honest, lied just there. Probably, I'm actually not doing very good. I'm at this moment in time. I'm not happy to see this situation with Antonio Conte. I'm not happy to see how it's transpired. I'm not happy to see. I think Dave's going to try to retest connection because I think he was a bit laggy there. Everybody's connection was a bit off. But I think Antonio Conte was somebody that I was a huge fan of, somebody that I was a huge admirer of. Dave, Antonio Conte was a big admirer. I was a huge admirer of him before he had come into the job, somebody that I'd really respected. I think when even he was at Chelsea, I'd respected him during his days at Inter Milan, at Juventus. I think that team that even he had built over at Inter Milan was probably one of the top and more formidable sides, you could say, in Europe at the time, at least for me personally. So I don't know about you, Dave, but it just feels it's kind of saddening to see kind of the funeral or almost the undoing of yet again another very good and very top manager at Spurs to kind of be made to look stupid, to be kind of made to look silly, as well as also to kind of be going up in flames yet again with kind of another top manager. It was the same thing with Jose Mourinho. I think the way it's transpired has been a very Antonio Conte type manner for it to transpire. It seems like this, if it were to kind of go down and if he were to kind of go out, he would go out in this sort of manner. I think we all knew that. So maybe we had forgotten that it could have, turned it out this way. But it always is the case that I think Antonio Conte, if he is going to leave, in this sort of manner, he is going to leave kind of, with guns a-blazing, basically type of a situation, whether you like it or not. So we could have seen that coming, but I don't know, Dave. I'm just sort of not really doing good. It's sad to see another manager, another top class manager kind of yet again be kind of made to look silly, yet again to be kind of, be victim to a lot of the problems that we have here at the club from the ownership, as well as also from the players themselves that have stuck through continuous managers, continuous different regimes and projects, and somehow kind of get away with sort of the blame and kind of get away with sort of the being kind of the culprits, as well as being the real soul, I think, as well, part of the problem, as well as the ownership. But let's be honest, the players have stuck through multiple managers now and have somehow, found them the way to, sort of make it look like as if it really is only the manager's problem, or as if it really is only the manager's fault, when it really, we obviously know isn't. So I kind of agree, as we'll get into a lot later, Dave, with a lot of what Conte said. I feel like the way he went about it maybe probably makes his position a bit untenable at the club. I think especially with a lot of the players, it kind of makes it untenable. But I don't know if I necessarily disagree with a lot of what he said, Dave. And I'm sorry I'm ranting, but I'm also just at the end of the day very sad that it has, transpired in this sort of manner with another top manager. I really loved Jose Mourinho and I really loved Antonio Conte, loved Pochettino. And it's just sad to see it go out with these guys.
No, look, I'm more or less the same, Jack. First of all, I'm sick of being let down, disappointed, having my dreams crushed, having every other club sort of laugh at us, being embarrassed in cup games. I'm sick of being embarrassed in Europe. I'm sick of the false hope, the false dawn. I'm just sick of a whole lot, to be honest with you. Look, agree with Antonio, like Antonio Conte, and not agree with his playing style or not. At the end of the day, I think we all have to take serious note of what he said. He's damn right. Look, one thing he didn't do is blame himself, and I was never going to expect him to blame himself. And yes, he has to take some portion of the blame on maybe some of his substitutions, handling the Jed Spence, Danjuma, things like that. But for me, Jack, my biggest concern is some of these players, and I'm talking about Poch-era players, maybe Bar Kane and Son, because they're the ones that have sort of continued their level since that Poch era. But the rest of them, I'm absolutely fed up with it. I've just had enough. It's not good enough. They regardless whether they start or whether they're back up and they come in, they end up playing and costing us all momentum every single season. When are we going to see a squad on the pitch that resembles the fans' passion, the fans' ambition, the fans' enthusiasm? When are we going to see that? I'm absolutely sick of the disconnect at Tottenham, from Tottenham with the board, from Tottenham with the players, and I've absolutely had enough. And we can't keep going through this cycle of managers. You know, at the end of the day, that's 3 managers since Pochettino. We haven't had one manager in charge for a full season since Pochettino sacked. And when Pochettino got sacked, Jose came in, took over to the rest of the season. I think it was from November till the rest of the season. Then the next full season was supposed to be his full season in charge. He got sacked before the cup final. Mason took charge. Then we bring in Nuno. Nuno lasts until October. Conte takes over November the 2nd until the end of the season. And now we're already looking at sacking another manager before the end of a season. And this is something that can't keep continuing. We are basically relying on manager bounces coming into this squad. That's something Everton have done. That's something Southampton have done. And we will only fall further and further down if we continue with this model. It is not sustainable and it's not good enough. At some point, we have to let a manager come in here and clear the dead wood. Jamie Carragher at the weekend went off spouting saying you've got to sack Antonio Conte, this, that, and the other. It's the same guy that when Antonio Conte was appointed said Antonio Conte will need longer than 18 months in the job. You know, I'm sick of the pressure from the media, from the pundits, etc., etc. They should all know what it takes to build trophies, to bring success, and it's to stick underneath a manager for a sustained period of time. We are at a position now, we need to do what Arsenal done with Mikel Arteta and stand by a manager. If it's not Conte, the next manager, stand by him and build on him. Give him 2, 3, 4 years in the job. I'm hearing people saying, I want what Arsenal have got. Well, guess what? You know, Arteta finished, I think it was 8th, 5th, and now look at them this season. Antonio Conte has had 4, nearly 4 again. And to be honest with you, Jack, I don't blame him for being fed up with the same players. What fans aren't? What fans are not fed up with these players? We're all fed up with some of these players. We've all had enough of them. They're an absolute disgrace. I'm going to show people a video now in a second of Eric Dyer laughing about Tottenham not winning trophies. I'm absolutely sick of it. You know, he hasn't been pissed off with the situation over the last few years. Shows no signs of frustration. If that was me, I'd tell the guy to either fuck off or I'd put him in a headlock. But Dyer's standing there laughing and joking with him. Conte is absolutely spot on when it comes to the mentality of these players. We can sit here and complain about throwing away a 3-1 lead to bottom of the table Southampton, but reality is under Jose Mourinho when we were at the top of the league, we threw away a 3-0 lead against West Ham with 10 minutes to go. You know, it's just not good enough. There's repetitive teams. You look at most of the cup exits over the League Cup, FA Cup, whether it's been Champions League, whether it's been fucking Europa League or Europa Conference League. Look at our away games in them. I'm going to bring out a video on this backline and who's been responsible for all these, because there's a common pattern, a common team of Dyer, Davies, Sanchez. And if you want, I can even throw Session and Doherty in there, even though Doherty's gone. And it's not good enough. They're costing this club trophies, momentum. They're costing this club so much more. Now, look, they're not the only problem. The owners, you know, the owners now need to. My personal opinion is I actually think Daniel Levy, the chairman, I think he doesn't know how to get us out of this mess. I genuinely believe he doesn't know how to get us out of this mess. And if the manager's job is going to keep being under review, well, then Daniel Levy's job needs to be under review as well. You know, does he have the tools to get us out of this mess? I'm sitting here left questioning. And one thing everyone can agree with, whether you're Conte in, Conte out, Levy in, Levy out, it doesn't matter. One thing everyone can agree with, that we need change at this football club, and we need it goddamn quick. Now, there's a big sort of peaceful march, I think is on the 6th of May, being organised by a group called Change for Tottenham. And I hope many people turn up for it. I might even fly in for it myself, because this isn't good enough. And I can't keep seeing managers with trophies behind them, with CVs behind them, leaving here branded as a dinosaur, known for their defensive stability, you know, at previous clubs. And they're walking away here with goals conceded left, right, and centre. 17 times this season, we've conceded 2 or more goals, and it's not good enough. And
what's even
when it comes to some of the players, I don't understand why Spurs fans are so angry or upset by his quotes, because it's something everyone says.
No, it's something that everybody has been saying. That's where I also don't really get it, where a lot of people are upset with what he said, because a lot of us have come out and criticized the players. And a lot of us have known that for a long time that these players have needed to go in order for really any manager to really push for trophies, to really be successful. We all know that Sanchez, Dyer, Davies, Tanganga, the whole lot, and it's plenty of them, Lloris, I think included, needed to go in order for these managers to really actually be successful. And also, maybe what we forget is these players, as long as you have them around, are fully capable of getting the next manager sacked, even if we all know that they are absolutely not capable of getting that trophy for us. Like, they can stick around long enough to get maybe us convinced that they maybe the manager is again the problem instead of the players. But we will again, sadly, Dave, and this is where I get sad and probably lose sight of the fact that it is these same players that have come out and are now saying whatever it is about the manager that they don't agree with. But let's be honest, it was Antonio Conte in the first place that actually saved their asses after Nuno, and actually saved their asses after the Pochettino days, because it was really, Dyer. He never really was a starter under Pochettino. He was an absolute failure under Jose, an absolute failure under Nuno. But actually, Antonio Conte was able to take a lot of these players, I think, under his wing, and was actually able to get the best out of them, I think, compared to Jose, compared to Nuno. And that is Dyer, Davies, even Tanganga, players like that. I think he's actually gotten the best out of them that he possibly could. And all of a sudden, yet again, the same players are turning against the manager, making it look like it's him all along that is, really the toxic one. But it's the one, like, that, they're the ones that have stuck around the longest. And also, just lastly, Dave, there's really what's bad, I think, most is there really is a lack of accountability at the club. Even if you don't think you're the main problem, even if you don't think you're the whole problem, or whatever it is, there doesn't really seem to be any real accountability where people have just stuck their hand up and just said, you know what, haven't been able to do, well enough this season. I mean, maybe we've gotten it from, I guess, Sonny at one stage this season when it came to his own troubles, but I don't think we really get enough of it. I mean, we were trying to get it from our own captain with Lloris. He showed no accountability. You look at Dyer after the last game, Dave, against Southampton. I think he was basically saying after that game that we should have scored more than 3 goals actually in order to win the game. I think he said that we could have taken advantage more of the center backs that were lost in Southampton's case. And you just really start to really scratch your head with these guys, because just not one person really wants to show any ounce of accountability, and no one wants to show any ounce of humility as well, because with that accountability, I think, comes a bit of humility and realizing that, yeah, you're part of the problem, but no one wants to admit that they're part of the problem. That's the players, that's the owner. And I'll be honest, but maybe part of Conte's kind of speech also showed a lack of accountability. But let's be honest, I'm not going to put another manager as the main culprit behind the bus of the real source of problems, and that's the players and the owner, Dave.
It's just, look, it's just nowhere near good enough. There's similar patterns in teams, and the manager can't always be the problem and the scapegoat. If you've got 3 girlfriends that tell you your breath stink, you're not going to blame them for being too choosy or too picky. You're going to go to the dentist. And it's the same with our squad. You've got 3 managers who, look, especially in Jose and Conte, they've both questioned the players' mentality. They both questioned the defense in the press. They've both questioned, the hunger and desire at Tottenham to actually win trophies. They're the same patterns, same routines, Same with the 3-0 up at West Ham, and we let that slip. Same with the one at Southampton at the weekend. These patterns have to stop, and there comes a point where, you've got to stop the rot. You've just got to stop it. And, one thing I'm also sick of is every transfer window is a slow process. We know the issues. We know that back line, that Hugo Lloris, people forgive Hugo Lloris for what he done under Jose, but he was also making a lot of mistakes under Jose that has lived very short in people's memories. You got to question, why do we keep going out of cup games? You can't keep blaming the manager for that, especially when they're away from home. At some stage, you've got to look at maybe the captain of the team, the one who's leading it. The example. Does he have a hunger and desire and passion to win every day? Whether it's head-to-head tennis, whether it's a game at the end of training, or whether it's a drinking competition in the canteen. Does he want to win absolutely everything? Because if he doesn't, You no wonder why you've got players that have always come here. Even look at our signings coming in. They've all come in here for a good time. Joe Hart, Ndombele, Lascelles. How many times have you seen them dicking about this, that, and the other? There's a really bad culture starting to set in at Tottenham Hotspur, and it's got to fucking change, because if not, it's only going to go one way. We were a club that were in the Champions League final in 2019. How have we got here? How do we find ourselves here being embarrassed in the Europa Conference League last season, on the brink of maybe finishing inside Europa League spots if we're lucky this season? And, 3 managers later, in the space of 3 years, how have we got this far? It's not good enough. Tottenham are a club that, okay, even when we weren't, up there in the league, we were always picking up a couple of trophies every decade. Every single decade. You could probably put at least 3 every single decade. Now we don't get any. And it's got to change. There's been opportunities for trophies at this club. There's been opportunities. Europa League, we should have went far in. We didn't. We bottled it away to Zagreb. Europa Conference League, the manager that qualified us for it, ended up, and who got sacked, ended up winning it with his Roma team that next season while we went out. We should have been in a final there. Some of the teams are not great. Could have had a couple of FA Cups or League Cups by now. It's just not good enough, and the mentality and the culture has to change at this football club. And it's got to be done with rotating that back line, switching up the captain, looking at Daniel Levy's job as well. It's all got to change. It's just not good enough, and this cannot continue. I'm sick of being embarrassed. I'm sick of Tottenham ruining my weekend. I'm sick of Tottenham, being the laughing stock, always in the press, at the butts of everyone's jokes. When are we going to be serious around here? When are we going to start winning? When are we going to get back to at least where we were on the pitch, where we were challenging, and build on it from there?
Yeah.
It's not good enough.
I'm just tired of last thing, Dave. I'm just tired of watching more and more managers sort of go to die over at Spurs, watch their careers kind of go to be questioned, watch their kind of credibility kind of come to be sort of questioned and pulled apart. And let's be honest, it eventually does, because we're sort of stuck with the same kind of useless lot that this last manager got sacked for. And then you just start to nitpick maybe what the manager is doing wrong and what he could be doing better. And believe me, I think there's plenty of things that we'll probably get into when Conte eventually probably does get sacked that maybe he could have done wrong, or he did wrong that he could have done better. But it just feels exhausting and tiring to yet again sort of kind of ask the same manager and ask probably the next manager to do better with the same lot of players that the previous manager had gotten sacked with. And that's where I think Antonio Conte pretty much also alluded to that in his press conference, where he just said, believe me, there's going to need to be a huge culture change, like you had alluded to, Dave, in order for actually any sort of success to be done. You can't even bring in any manager to try to do something better, I think, with this lot of players. There's just no way. There needs to be a huge culture change. And with that culture change needs to be a huge clean out of a lot of players at this club, Dave. And obviously we would like it to be done with the ownership as well, but sooner the better, I think, when it comes to the ownership as well as the players. But we all know, Dave, sooner could probably happen with the players. And I think we just don't want to see the next manager, Dave, come in and receive the same fate and receive the same sort of kind of outcome and the same future that the previous managers have undergone as well.
We were known, up until the Champions League final. Everyone was jealous of us. Everyone was jealous of the football. Everyone was jealous of the way we were run. Everyone was jealous, of the model that we were doing it by. And then we've just completely gone away from it. And now we're a club where everyone's laughing at us. Everything's being questioned, from signings, from scouting, youth development, first team, managers, coaches, owners, Daniel Levy. Everyone's being questioned. And that wasn't the case 3 years ago in 2019 when we were 4 years ago in 2019 when we were in a Champions League final. And it's just, we've got to change, because, I truly believe that bringing in someone like Jose Mourinho and Antonio Conte, and look, Conte alluded to it in his press conference, that it's masked over a lot of problems. Their managerial abilities, and I'd argue they've got the very best they can out of a weak squads, weak-minded backline, a defense that just continues to shift goals. I think, these managers have been a victim of it, but somehow with their defensive managerial abilities, they've been able to sustain us up near the top end of the league, which I'm actually quite thankful for. And look, you can sit here and say, oh, the next manager, we're going to sack him and he's going to get better out of the next players. But we said that after Jose Mourinho. You were wrong. We ended up with Nuno. Said it after Nuno. You were wrong. We're here with Conte. When we're saying it here again, when are we going to learn our lessons?
We're
Even if you do
stuck
want
saying the
Conte
same
out,
thing again. We're stuck
even
saying
if you do want Conte out, you should want Daniel Levy's job reviewed, and you should also want some of these players starved out as well.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what we said after the watch along, Dave. I remember that was our main conclusion after the watch along. Whether you want Conte in, Conte out, you have to agree that the next manager will suffer the same fate unless these owners or these players are shifted out. And honestly, the players need to be shifted out regardless, because you hope that they need to go because they're the real culprit of, the problems tactically that's been going on. But Dave, I think it's what we said, Conte in, Conte out. You just know that these players need to be shipped out in order for the next manager to succeed. And that's something all Spurs fans can agree on. And it's something all Spurs fans should agree on, because I know we will find ourselves on 1,000 different, stances on the plane when it comes to where Spurs should be fixed and how Spurs should go from here. But we can all definitely agree that there's a huge core of these players that have survived since the Pochettino era, and they need to go before the next manager suffers the same fate. And it's something I think we all know we can agree on.
Lastly, I just want to add, even if you have been Conte out for a while and you don't like what he said, please just understand that Conte can't take out, how will I put it? Don't put all your frustrations on Conte walking out the door and thinking that all them problems are going to be gone and it's going to change when the next manager gets in here. Because I could tell you and assure you one thing. Yeah, they might bring in a different style of manager who might play a different style of football, and you will notice it to a certain extent. But the same problem of leaking goals and having to score 3 or 4 goals every single game is still going to exist. And it's a huge problem at Tottenham Hotspur, along with the loser culture, along with throwing managers under the bus, along with having to make rotations and then going out of cups against teams that we shouldn't have. All that's still going to exist unless we make other changes at this football club other than the manager. So I just urge that, that don't think just because, your guy Conte is gone, don't think that too much is going to change. But I also want to bring this up. This is another thing. This is a guy that's.
Let me read your tweet here, Dave. You're saying changing the mentality, attitude, and culture at Tottenham Hotspur Football Club starts right here. He's effing laughing at us. We wonder why we lose to Sheffield, Forest, Milan, Bournemouth, or Middlesbrough, Norwich, Zagreb, culture. I mean, Dave, let's not even get into the list because we'd honestly run out of character, limit on Twitter. Yeah. I mean, you're lucky to actually not even include all those games. But he says,
there's more. I didn't even get more.
I mean, Dave, you probably ran out of characters. That's what I'm saying. It's attitudes like this, Dave, and I'm pretty sure we can play it. Whatever. I mean, let's just play it here, Dave. It's him having a conversation with Dave Portnoy, and before we hear it, because it's a very short clip, Dave. What really made me upset about this was that, as a very beaten Spurs fan myself, and yourself and all of us, right, as very sort of kind of tortured Spurs fan, we kind of been here. We probably said, kind of this to another fan before, maybe when it comes to Spurs, but it's unacceptable to actually hear it from the players themselves, the ones who actually can do something about this on the pitch, the ones that are actually really responsible for what's going on for the reason of this sort of answer. That's what I really hated about this from Eric Dyer, actually, the most.
And you guys never win anything, right? No. Right? Yeah. And you guys never win anything, right? No. Right? Yeah. And you guys never win anything, right? No. Right? Yeah. And you guys never win anything, right? No. Right? Yeah. And you guys never win anything.
So, Dave, I mean,
look, that guy is laughing at
if you ever had any ounce of sympathy, any left for Dyer, I think it's gone after that video. I think it should be gone after that video.
Ask yourself this. Would you see Graham Roberts do that? Would you see Ledley King do that? I wouldn't. I've never have done either. This is a guy.
You think he's just another Spurs fan off the street or something like that, the way he answers it. But he's somebody who can actually do something about this, Dave. He's something who can actually do something about the losing, who can actually do something about the trophies. Not, he's not like us on the street or anything like that. But somehow we would probably show a bit more pride or maybe a bit more kind of respect than even he does. And he's someone who actually plays week in, week out for the club, gets paid for the club. And was acting like some sort of defeating Spurs fan like the rest of us. It really is pathetic to me.
Anyone who has had ambitions of winning an FA Cup, League Cup, Premier League, Champions League, Europa League, Europa Conference League, well, that's Eric. That's the leader of your backline, the spine of your backline, laughing at you.
Yeah.
This is a guy that's come out and criticized Mauricio Pochettino for the reason of him not getting a serious run in the team. This is a guy who blamed Jose Mourinho, again, for him being shit at the back line. This is a guy that I've no doubt, or this is a guy actually that, had a pop at the forwards for not scoring more goals when the two, after the two Southampton centre-backs were hauled off with injuries. How many times have I said at this football club, you can't keep looking to score 3-4 goals every week, especially away from home, to win games. And we wonder why we keep suffering this. We wonder why we go win 2-3 games, we get excited, then you go on a run of shit results. We wonder why we can't perform away from home. When you've got this guy standing there laughing, he should be angry and pissed off at what's going on. He supposedly loves this club the way fans love it. And this is him laughing at us and every single one of you. And we wonder why Conte gets frustrated and says what he does. We wonder why Jose Mourinho got frustrated and said what he did. That's prime example. If they have been knowing all around the world for their defensive stability, broke league records in all their leagues for clean sheets, etc., etc. And then they come here and they try and bring that to Tottenham Hotspur, try and bring that to the players, give them all their know-how. And this is the response they get, where they don't really give a shit. They're just going to laugh at you. You show any sort of passion or anything towards them, that's the reaction you're going to get. And it's just blame everyone else instead of taking responsibility.
No accountability at this club.
We want to get back to where we were under Pochettino. It starts with a good fucking solid backline, and that guy ain't in it, let alone win trophies. And if we definitely want to win trophies, I'll put a bet on with anyone now. We don't lift one as long as that Muppet's at this club. It's an absolute disgrace. And I don't care when it was taken. It's an absolute disgrace. You should not be laughing with him. You should not. It's an absolute disgrace. I'm fed up of it. It sums up and is the pinnacle of the culture at Tottenham Hotspur. It's all laughy, jokey. I mean, it was the same guy that was crying when Matt Doherty left because his golfing buddy was gone. Who gives a fuck about golf? We care about the football on the pitch. We care about winning games and lifting trophies. And this guy's sitting there laughing at it as soon as it's mentioned. I've had enough.
Yeah. Well, Dave, we have a lot of guests, I imagine, for tonight. There are a lot of people in the chat that I know have plenty to say. Everybody, if you do want to come on and have your say, I think you probably know the drill by now. There are a lot of people who have already hit the link. It's in the community section for those who have that fan show membership. If you want to come on and have your say, the link is out there for you. Please come on and join us and have a chat with us. But I think we have some comments to get to, but I'm not sure if we're going to be able to get through the whole chat, everybody, because we also do want to be kind of considerate of a lot of the people that do want to come on and talk with us and speak with us. And we don't want to kind of take up all of everybody's evening as well.
Just quickly, reports coming out that Tottenham are expected to part way with Antonio Conte later this week. So it does look like it's coming to an end. You'd probably just need to maybe iron out some formalities and a severance package, and then it'll probably be announced. So
and that's according
Antonio
to
Conte
Daily
is
Telegraph.
basically sacked at Tottenham Hotspur. Guys, make sure you get your comments in the chat. And make sure, most importantly, you come on and have your say. We want to sit here and listen to absolutely everybody on what they have to say on the situation. And I'm sure everyone's just as pissed off as us about it. So it's nice therapy. And most importantly, grab their memberships and also feel free to throw in a super chat. It's an absolute massive help to everything we try and do here. But look, like I said, we understand it's tough times out there a minute with inflation and everything else. So at least just keep engaging with us in the comments. Got a super chat here from Moondog. He says, I want these crap players gone. I mean, Moondog, I've been on about it for what, two and a bit years now. I've just constantly alluded to it, talked about it. But, many fans have fallen for these guys. There's still many fans and many backers of these guys out there, even though he's laughing in your face. I just do not understand it. But regardless whether fans support him or not, someone inside the club should be able to recognize this, whether it's manager, Levy, or the sporting director, with the amount of years of experience they have. Someone should be able to look down at that and say, nah, that ain't a winning culture. Get him gone. But somehow he's still here.
Yeah. Moondog, I think the main conclusion that we've all found, and I probably think you agree with it, Moondog, and I think everybody can agree with it, what we try to do on this channel is we try to find some sort of kind of maybe a point where we can all sort of shake hands, maybe a point where we can all sort of kind of come out with at least some sort of takeaway. And I think the main takeaway from all of this is something that we've maybe banged on for a very, very long time from the moment that I've even known Dave, is that this core set of players that have been here since the fall of Pochettino need to go in order for the next manager to be successful. Even if you want to get into the sort of details and nitty gritty of how Conte went wrong here and how Conte went wrong here and how he could have done this and could have done that, really doesn't actually matter, because the same core players are going to get the next manager to look silly. The same core players are going to get the next manager sacked. And I think that's what maybe everybody is hopefully going to maybe come away from all this just knowing, is that it doesn't really matter who the next manager is. As long as these players are here, he's not going to really be as successful as the last guy. Maybe he might be a little bit more, but we all know he's not going to be as successful as we want him to be. And he probably might only have a shelf life like the last ones have, which is around 18 to maybe 20 months, you could say. So it's a lot of things with it. Pick yourself up, Moondog. And that's the main takeaway, I think, my man.
Big up, Moondog. CDC1205 says, big up, guys. Best Spurs channel on YouTube by far. Look, my man, I really appreciate that. Look, I'll be honest. I find this sort of content hard to do because I just want to sit here and celebrate and enjoy talking them and stuff like that. So I don't enjoy doing this content, as you could probably tell by my face most of the time. But look, we're hoping to improve. We're hoping to get better. We've a lot coming up, so just stay tuned and hopefully you can continue to enjoy the content for many years to come, just like everyone else in the chat. So
hope it gets better, CDC. Pick yourself up, my man. I know you probably enjoy a different version of us, which is the much more happy, kind of excited, version of ourselves. Even me, myself, I'm happy to be a happy clapper, but not the time right now. Pick yourself up, CDC.
Big up. Coyce Bob says, change the formation, Conte and bench the players you think aren't team don't play, simple as.
If I think Coy's Bob wanted us to read one of his comments, and Coy's tried to bring up the last one like you said, and if I'm not mistaken, I think what you probably mean by this is that it doesn't matter whether you change the formation, doesn't matter where you change the manager, it doesn't really matter which players you bench and which ones you don't. I mean, it's going to be the same outcome, I think, with the next one. I mean, I could be wrong, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, though, Coy's Bob. But you wanted Dave to read out your last comment, and I believe that's what it was, my man. So I decided to put it up there.
But even if you're saying, look, Conte should have changed the formation up. I mean, where I'm at with that is, right, we bring in a manager because of what he's done at other clubs, because of his CV, who's been able to develop a winning culture. And he's done it at multiple clubs. He's done it at Chelsea, already proven in the Premier League, Inter and Juve. And then we get him here, and we want him to change up everything that he's developed to breed a winning culture, to change for a club that has won trophy in 22 years under this ownership. The guy has probably, I think nearly 10, 11 trophies in a less span than that. So, I mean, why should he change? It's up to us to provide him what he needs when you bring in that sort of manager. And look, we can say bench the players that we think aren't good enough. But the reality is we're replacing them with more players I don't think are good enough. And it's not good enough. It's not
and
good
then
enough.
He says, it's destiny to happen with whatever manager comes in, unfortunately. As you'll agree, I completely agree with you, Coyce Bob. Pick yourself up, my man.
Big up, Coyce Bob. We've got Moondog says, Conte spoke the truth and I respect him more. Look, this is what I'm saying. I get people are angry. I've been angry with Conte for some time and I've wanted him out for some time and unhappy with his style of play and everything else. But let's be honest, I don't understand why we're using it as a stick to beat him with. You tune into any Twitter channel or any Twitter profile, you tune into any social media, any YouTube channel. Every Spurs fans have been saying the same thing.
Yeah,
so I don't understand why everyone was outraged by hearing the truth.
But also as well, I mean, he also was calling Dyer one of the better defenders in the world, Dave, right? He was complimenting a lot of these players kind of up the hole and up their rear plenty. And so it's kind of like, what do you want, really? Like, do you want the real version of Conte where he's saying what he really thinks, which is what's come out recently? Or do you want him to lie to us like he has before when it comes to these players and kind of pat them up the rear, Dave? Sorry. I mean, I think you agree with that.
Look, Jose tried the same thing with these guys, when before he got fed up, he tried encouraging them, giving them good praise in the press and everything else. And then everyone was like, why is he doing that? He's clearly useless. And then when they come out and tell the truth, it's like, you can't treat them like that. And it's like, well, hang on a minute. When he was praising him, you were saying he can't do that because he's useless, even though we've been trying to tell you he has to do it, because if he criticizes a guy, he's not going to turn around to him. He's not going to look at the rest of his squad and go, shit, I have to play him. Do you mind going out there for me Saturday and doing a good job for 90 minutes? Even though I've criticized you to hell in the press. You know, he's never going to do it. So you got to understand, during the season, when this season is on, because he's to rely on them and he knows there's no change coming, he has to do it. You know, but then we criticize him for doing it, saying we know these guys useless. But when he comes out and tells the truth, we say, you can't do that. He's got to get better out of these players. It's on him. It's just, look, this has to stop. It's just got to stop. We've just got to understand. You know, what he said is the truth, and we needed to hear it. Jose tried telling us. We all said, no, Jose's too mean. He's outdated. You can't say them things. You can't manage in the modern game. Well, reality is nothing's changed. We haven't even learned our lessons. Poch told us, rebuild. We need a massive overhaul, a complete rebuild. Nothing changed. We brought in Jose Mourinho. He said what he said. Still nothing has changed. You know, we bring in Nuno. Fans pissed off with him again. I get that. I'm not even going to defend that. But then you bring in Conte, and now the same things are being asked. And it's just like, this is what elite level managers do. You got to understand it. They're the ones with CVs on their trophies. You got to do it their way. You got to provide them the tools for them to work. It's that simple. Carrot Top. Big up Carrot Top. He says, I'm sorry, but Conte needs to go. Enough is enough. Look, he's gone anyway. You know, the reports are out there now in the breaking saying that, you know, basically it's going to be done by the end of the week. Conte will be gone. So he's gone anyway. And I'm not going to sit here and defend everything. But what I will do is, if I will pull things up and I maybe might highlight a different of opinion on it, just to maybe show that, hang on, you can put this all on Conte. But you got to realize it's been here longer than Conte. There are things where I will interject and say, no. You can't put that on Conte, because I feel it's the right thing to do, to maybe shine a light and say, well, hang on, it's been a problem longer than Antonio Conte. It's something more serious that I think we need to look into, Carrot Top.
For me, quickly, Carrot Top, I just think, regardless if you want Conte out, I think you just probably want the next manager to be set up for success, right? I assume you want him to be best set up for success. And so if you think having Dyer, Sanchez, Tanganga, Davies, all these sort of players still left around, is that the best way to set up the next manager for success? I assume you probably don't want that for the next manager. So I think that's what we can all agree on. Big up, my man.
Breaking news, Ryan Mason is likely to be put in temporary charge until the end of the season and should be in the dugout for the Everton game. So let me know what your thoughts are on that. Look, just quickly, I think it probably makes a little bit of sense until we do find the right guy, and probably gives us a bit of time instead of rushing into it. But one thing I will say is I don't want the guy to get to be the full-time manager here. I don't think he's the right guy to take us forward whatsoever. And I will say that this next appointment has to be spot on, and it has to be one they're going to back, because you have to have a solid foundation before Kane and Son leave. And they're in their 30s now. They're not getting any younger, and the time is coming nearer and nearer. And in order to feel less of an impact off it, you've got to have a good, solid goalkeeper. You've got to have a backline, because the reality is, if you can keep clean sheets, you can have average forwards and still nick results. But if you can't keep clean sheets and then you're after losing Kane and Son, it becomes a real big problem. So the next manager has to be right. They have to back him. And especially with Kane and Son going. So I don't want Mason giving it full time, for sure. Jack, just any thoughts on that quickly?
It's probably better off with Mason, because, like I said, I think Antonio Conte, a lot what he said was true, and a lot what I said, I agree with him with pretty much everything he practically said, but that sort of made his position untenable, I think, maybe with the owners, but as well as with the players. I don't know if he can really call out all those players and then be able to just show up the next week in the job and kind of act like nothing has happened. And it seemed like he maybe was going to go about it that way. So I don't know if that's really possible or really how it could have gone. So it just is going to have to be Ryan Mason, I guess. The one thing I'm a little worried about, though, is that Spurs obviously do care a lot about top four. Do they really think Ryan Mason is the guy to be able to deliver top four? They probably need to get, hurrying on, the next manager. I don't know if you can leave Ryan Mason in charge for the rest of the season.
Well, look, let us know.
Is he
is there
good enough
anyone
to
out
do
there
it
that
for the rest
maybe?
of the season?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But is there anyone that would put their name forward to give it to Mason full time and let him see what he can do with it? But I agree with you, Jack. I think, what is it, a 10-game stint between now and the end of the season? It's a lot of games to give the guy. And if
And
he
top
does
four is
well,
still well and truly up for. Like, it's still well and
mm,
truly up for. Like, it's not like we're out of it. So, like, do you really want to leave it to him? It was different circumstances under Jose. It's not like they're really. I don't think we had top four, to compete for. So, whereas Ryan does. So that's a lot, I think, different.
let me ask you, Jack, do you think it's reasonable to expect a manager appointment in and around or after the Everton game? Do you think that's enough time for them to be able to get the right choice in here and one that's going to be here for the long term?
Doesn't really matter, Dave, because I think they've probably now paid the price for kind of twiddling their thumbs for a little bit too long. I think it kind of is the case where Spurs, if they didn't really see Conte probably staying after this summer, if they didn't really see a long-term future with Antonio Conte, why is it that they've been waiting so long to, look at the manager shortlist and look at maybe the next guy they could bring in charge? And then let's say things were to maybe backfire with Conte, things were to maybe go up in flames. Why not already have a guy in charge or a guy ready that you could bring in? That was the case with Jose when Pochettino got sacked. They had Jose right there then available to bring in. That was the case with I don't know, like with Conte as well with Nuno, Dave, right? I mean, Nuno was sacked. Antonio Conte was right there to, be signed pretty much the next day. So I feel like it's probably okay to leave Ryan Mason in charge for maybe a game or two, but it seems like it seems unnecessary. It would be the fault of the club to then leave him in charge longer than that, because that just speaks, to incompetence, or that just speaks to not being able to make a decision soon enough on, the manager's future. They should already have a guy that they probably want to bring in, at least in my opinion.
Yeah. Look,
If you want to sack Conte, they've already known that probably Conte was a guy they were considering sacking or already kind of parting ways with. So they probably should already have a guy like in mind.
would you get someone like Poch in if you could for maybe the remaining 10 games if you could get
That's
that
what
agreed?
That's what you probably look to, right? Or the guys that you technically could bring in right away. I know Oliver Glasner is being, touted right now, but you would have to, of course, get him out of his current job at Frankfurt, and that takes a lot of moving parts. Whereas the guys like Enrique, the guys like a Pochettino, and other managers that are not in a job technically right now are probably easier to sign. I know Pochettino would probably take a lot to convince, considering he's going back to the same players that got him sacked originally. But it would be easier, I'm thinking theoretically, to bring in a guy that doesn't actually have a job at this moment in time.
Yeah.
So I'd
Look,
say Pochettino or Enrique, one of the two that's maybe not in a current job.
yeah, it'd be interesting to see if one of them two
realistic.
front runners end up coming here, because when we signed Jose Mourinho, he wasn't in a job. When we signed Nuno, he wasn't in a job, and when we signed Conte, he wasn't in a job. So do we have to pull someone out of a job to come and take this club? I'm not so sure. So one thing I know for sure is I don't want Mason in for the last 10 games. I'm not sure he has the pull to be able to get these players to get out there and sort of show any sort of cohesive or commitment.
I'd rather
If
Conte
Conte couldn't do it, I think it's a big ask to ask someone like Ryan Mason to do it, although he did recently complete his coaching badges. So who knows? We've got CDC1205, new
Grabbing the
YouTube
Flat Cap
member. Big
membership.
yourself up, my man. Absolute legend. Really appreciate that. Everyone else, grab them memberships, guys. Small fee every single month, and it's a massive help to everything we do here. Carrot Top says, out in the cup by Forest, set up defensive. Out in the cup to Sheffield, set up the Sheffield's B team. Conte put out a B team. Ridiculous subs in Champions League. Elite manager plays Mora. Look, we could sit here and moan about these, cup defeats. Sheffield United away, Forest away. I understand it. You can bring up NS Mora away when he was in charge in the Europa Conference League. But the reality is, we also lost the first leg to Paços de Ferreira, 1-0 out in Portugal under Nuno away. Under Jose Mourinho, we lost to Zagreb away. We went out to the FA Cup to Norwich away from home. We went out to
Everton.
Middlesbrough under Conte away from home. Under Jose, that season, I think we went out to Norwich. We played Middlesbrough away, barely got the job done, had to take it home. I think we also played Southampton away, drew, and had to take the job at home. And there's other examples of us losing massive away games right across Europe, right across the domestic leagues. And this is something we have to take into account. You can throw this on Antonio Conte all you want, but the reality is it's happened under 3-4 different managers now, even Pochettino at times. It's a severe problem at this club. And, when you got to go into the common denominator in most of them games, Dyer, Davies, Sanchez, Sessegnon, Tanganga, and Matt Doherty have been a huge problem in this culture over the last few years. I've looked it up. So it's not something we should just pin on Antonio Conte. It's something we should actually look further into and delve further into rather than just make it a Conte issue. As for the substitutions, I think, look, bringing on Sanchez when we're chasing the game to stay in the Champions League really pissed me off. Don't agree with that. Sometimes I do think he leaves it too late to make substitutions. I can agree with that. I don't agree with the handle of Spence or Danjuma either. And I get that some of the things are questionable. But not everything is his problem. Not everything.
Yeah.
I would struggle to change a game. If I've been in his shoes, and I'm looking at some of these guys week in, week out, I'm looking at the bench, and I'm like, oh, he's been bad this week, or he doesn't really have that winning mentality or something. I would struggle to bring him off the bench to change a game if he doesn't have that mentality in the first place. So I would say, look, I'm not excusing him, but I'm maybe saying it's something maybe we should we should try and understand as well. Jacko, what would you say to Carrot Top?
I just feel like Carrot Top, it's almost at this stage, we could go into how Conte got it wrong, but it just sort of, in my opinion, is going to be the case that the next manager is going to suffer the same fate. And then we'll be kind of going through the same thing of how maybe the next manager gets it wrong. And as long as these same players are still here and the same manager or the next manager has to pick the same set of players to pick from that Antonio Conte did, I feel like we'll be finding ourselves kind of criticizing the next manager, nitpicking, what he could have done here, what he could have done there. And I'm not discrediting anything that you're saying with maybe what Conte has done wrong. It just sort of feels like we've done this with the last manager, the manager before that, and the manager before that. It's part of maybe what we have to do. We have to talk about how the manager got wrong, but it feels like at least for me personally, there are bigger things on the priority list for how we can set ourselves up for the future. And that's getting rid of certain players in order for the next manager to succeed. And of course, as well, we need to ask huge questions of the ownership in order to actually have this culture of winning be changed at the club as well. But for me, picking what maybe Antonio Conte has done wrong here and there, for me, it's just, I don't know, it might just be kind of over with. Like he's gone, at this stage, he's kind of gone. And, I don't want the next manager to suffer the same fate.
Big up Carrot Top. Ben Kaufman says too late to rebuild now, there's zero to build on. I mean, look, Ben, I disagree with that.
I don't know. I think there is a lot to build on still.
Yeah, I think there is quite a bit to build on. I'm happy with right wing. I'm happy with that right hand side, to be honest with you. Right wing and right wing back. I think centre midfield. I think look, you probably would like a bit more of a creative option, but I think Basuma will come good next year. I think, get Bentancur back from injury. I like Højbjerg. I like what Skippy showed me. I think Papa Matasar is a big future.
A lot of talent in that position.
So I think we're sort of okay there, underneath the next manager. Same as striker. Left wing, I'd probably bring another one in. Left wing back needs to be sorted out. Centre back needs to be sorted out. And goalkeeper needs to be sorted out. So I do think there is a basis of somewhere to work on. I wouldn't go into this summer thinking, we need here, and here. First
of all, gaping holes, but we have good areas as well. It feels like we have gaping holes in our area of the squad, like center back, left wing back, maybe a creative midfielder, like you said as well. Goalkeeper, of course, too, is another huge area. But we also have areas where I would say I'm still proud of. I'm proud of what we still have to boast when it comes to attackers. I think we have great attackers to choose from, and I think we have a great right hand side with Romero, Porro, Kulusevski, Emerson. I'm happy with that whole right hand side. I agree, Dave.
I do think there is some stuff to build on, Ben. I don't think we have to completely reset from the ground up, my man. But look, if you disagree, come on and let us know, or let us know in the chat, my man. Big up, Benji. Who else have we got? Moondog says, I am the club, nothing will change. Look, I'll be honest. Why we got Mason in terms of, what was it? 1 day? Last time Mason was in caretaker job. 71 days point Nuno. I don't want to see this again, but look, what has changed over the last years? Since that Champions League final, what has changed? We keep going through the same cycle over and over and over and over again. And many of us are just disgusted like you are, man. Just as much disgusted as you are. We keep seeing the same back line. Okay, we keep rotating managers. We've rotated the directors of football, twice as well. It just can't keep continuing. It can't be everybody else's fault. At some stage, Levy has to take some accountability, and at some stage, these players have to stop hiding and come out and take some accountability. But what? This summer, if there's not changes across that back line or goalkeeper, nothing will ever change, man. Nothing will ever change. Big up, Moondog. We've got Divi Vasharan says realistic Mason lineup for the last few games. Look, Mason's liable to do anything. Did he? He sort of brought in Gareth Bale again, didn't he? Brought Winks back.
Winks came back in. Yeah.
you
Sanchez. I think if anything you could predict from Ryan Mason, I'm not going to say Ryan Mason's actually a bad manager. He maybe actually has the foundations of becoming a good manager, Divi. But what I would say is he's probably more likely or not to pick a lot of this core group of Pochettino players that we all are asking to get rid of. Like I could see him picking Sanchez. I could see him picking Dyer and Davies. And I could see him picking maybe some others as well, maybe from that old era that we probably don't like very much, that we know need to go. It's just the case because he knows them too well. It's like kind of bias. He's just biased, I think, towards them.
Yeah.
Like he dropped in Ndombele, I think, when Ndombele was in great form, I believe, at the time, and threw in Harry Winks and Dele Alli, who like weren't playing at all under Jose. Remember, he threw in Harry Winks and Dele Alli, who were like completely out of the cold. So I think that's what maybe you could expect.
Yeah, exactly. Like absolutely spot on. Absolutely spot on. DJ Kenny says, big up, lads. Poch in to save the mass exodus. Look, even if Poch comes in, he's still going to want to get rid of the likes of Dyer, Sanchez, Davies, stuff like that. He's not going to continue to persist with these guys. He's going to want to get a new goalkeeper in as well. Someone that's more of a modern-day goalkeeper that can play his style of football. You got to remember, these players also clamored. Some of these players also clamored together to get Pochettino signed. They were fed up with his training methods, fed up with his routines. Dyer exclusively said, I was fed up with how long his routines were for me to come back from injuries and stuff like that. So, I mean, there's going to be a lot that he's going to want to clear out. I'm not even sure bringing him in here for temporary for 10 games is going to really do anything, because at the end of the day, if I was coming in, I would refuse to play Dyer. I would refuse to play Sanchez and Davies and people that cost me my job in the first place. If you want me to be brutally honest, I find it hard to hide that or park it aside. If he does come back, there's going to be some groveling to do. I can tell you that for sure, DJ Kenny. Moondog says Mauricio Pochettino 6-4 betting next manager. Jack, forget about temporary charge. Would you take Mauricio Pochettino as the next manager to build back what he had, before he ended up getting sacked? But also, will he be allowed to do what he done when he first came in, which is clear out a lot of sort of older players that have a bad sort of attitude around the dressing room, like when he first came in, Adebayor, Hopi, people like that?
The only thing I'm worried about, Moondog, with Pochettino is that if he is a yes man, if he turns into being a yes man, I'm a bit worried with how we want this sort of project and this rebuild and everything to go. Because I think we need somebody who isn't a yes man in order to really kind of push Levy's buttons, to push the ownership's buttons, to get the most out of Paratici, whatnot. You want somebody that's going to hold them accountable, that's going to get what they want, that's going to ask for what they want, and is not going to cower away or anything. And I think we were getting that from Antonio Conte in his most recent press conference. So if you ask me, I understand why people are asking for the yes man, because that just makes all the waters a little calmer. But at the end of the day, I don't want maybe the ownership to win. I don't want these players to win. I don't want anybody to win that's been part of this problem in the first place. So I'd say as long as Pochettino isn't a yes man, Moondog, absolutely bring him in. Absolutely. If he's willing to be part of the cleanup, and get his hands dirty and be part of this gruesome process, absolutely get him in here. But if he's going to be a bit of a yes man in the whole process, he might be contributing to the problem.
Look, there's pros for me. I think, you know exactly what brand of football you're going to get. He gets the fans get him. I think the fans will show him some patience. As the way we operated really changed since they sacked Pochettino, though. I'm not 100% sure it has, and, will that frustrate Pochettino? Will Pochettino want the Spurs job anyway? Will Poch want to come back? I know he said before he'd like to come back one day, but is it too soon for him to come back? Is there too much players still here from his era that need to go before he maybe even touches this squad? And plus, someone coming back, it's more romantical than it is logical. And they always do say never go back. It's never as good as the first time around. And I do think that saying will come true with Pochettino. However, if he can steer us in the right direction in terms of, the likes of Spence, Gill, Sarr, people like that, blood them into the team, sort of get them going. Because he was good at that at Tottenham Hotspur when he first arrived. And maybe start to build a new dawn going forward. I think he could definitely do something like that. Look, I love Pochettino, but if we don't get a new goalkeeper and we don't get in better defenders, I don't see his style working out as great as we think it will be, or as good as we remember it to be. And that is what my major concern would be with Pochettino.
Pick up and down.
But there are definitely some positives for sure. Asamoah says, while Jose was there, first to say Levy is the one picking some players, and I believe strongly that Levy is the one picking some players on match day now. Oh, Asamoah was saying that Levy was picking some players on the Jones day now. Look, I'll be honest, I'm not sure that is the case. Jose never really came out and said it. Nuno never came out and said it. And Conte hasn't said it. And I should be surprised if he would come out, if he can come out and say it. I'm not sure that is the case. But, it is the club handing these guys a new contract. It is the club keeping some of these guys around. And it is them basically saying, you've got to work with them regardless. So, in a roundabout way, you could say maybe there is a bit of a hand on the team selection, knowing that one of these or a couple of these guys will have to play and knowing that these guys are going to have parts to play over the course of the season. But do I directly think they're having an influence on match day selections? No, I definitely don't think so. Jack?
Yeah, I as much as I love to dive into that sort of conspiracy theory and maybe kind of give air to it, maybe give it a little bit of light to it, I don't really know if it's true. The only thing I would say is maybe there are moments when you could say that certain players are sort of just given 15 minutes just so that they don't completely lose their transfer value. That would be the only time I put my tinfoil hat on, is sometimes we see Lucas Moura or players like that maybe come on for 15 minutes, or you see some player that never really plays very much come on for 10 minutes, and you might think like, maybe that's just to preserve a bit of the transfer value, but that's as far as I'll go. Pick yourself up.
Big up, Asamoah. Really appreciate the support, brother. Really appreciate it. Phil P's in the house. Big up, Phil P. Disaster, my man. Absolute disaster right now. We'll have to have a conversation this week, brother. Ben wants to know how many's in the queue. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, Ben. 8. Look, plenty more streams this week to get you on to have yours here, brother. If you don't want to, if you can't wait in the queue,
we'll hold your spot as well, Ben, if you need be. We'll hold your spot as well, and you come back later, brother. Big yourself up. But yeah, we'll do a fan show also Friday, but we'll also get you on a panel show if you need. That'd be actually good, Ben. Get you back on a panel show. Big yourself up, brother.
Yeah, big up, Ben. And DJ Kenny, he says, I was referring to the fans about bringing back. So bring back Poch before the fans have a mass exodus. Look, one thing I will say is, yeah, you might get fans that are pissed off and stuff like that, but no fan will ever truly walk away from Tottenham Hotspur or turn their back on Tottenham Hotspur. You may see them stop going to games. You may see people maybe stop caring as much as they do. They'll always support Tottenham Hotspur, though, my man, regardless. It's just, whatever we're going through, thick, thin, bad, worse, it does not matter. Good, we're always going to be here supporting this club. I just wish that players, people in and around the club would share the same passion and enthusiasm and excitement for this club the way the fans do, because it's the furthest thing away from it right now. And it's probably the furthest I felt disconnected from the club ever, if you want me to be brutally honest, ever.
DJ, I don't blame anybody for feeling disillusioned with the club. I don't blame anybody for feeling a bit let down by the club, or I mean, fully let down by the club. Let's be honest, in a lot of cases. But I don't blame anybody for feeling a bit lost right now. I mean, it's understood, but I don't know what it is. It's maybe just our love. Maybe it's just we're just suckers. I don't know what. But Dave and I personally, we've been able to take 1,000 punches to the face by this team. It feels like we could take 1,000 more. As pathetic and as sad as it is, it feels like we can. But believe me, we are hurting at plenty of moments, and it is hard to sort of rise up and continue to do the content in the way that we do. But we just hope for that light in the corner, because at the end of the day, we're Spurs fans like everybody else. We just want it to be better. But we all just, we hope it can happen as soon as possible, and we have different ideas about how it can be done. Pick yourself up, DJ. And then also as well, Dan Coy's member for 13 months, fan show member as well. Dan, thank you for your support, my man. Come on. And I know you go to a lot of the games, Dan, so let me know who you want to see next in charge, for when you go to the games. He says, bringing in another manager when nothing has changed, not fair on us fans who don't know what we're actually fighting for anymore. Come on, you Harris Army. Pick yourself up, Dan. And I don't know. It feels like the next manager that comes in, if not a lot really has changed when it comes to selling and getting rid of players, Dan, they'll probably suffer the same fate of the previous manager. And you just don't really want to see somebody kind of do that, Dave, right? It's like a dirty secret about something, or it's like about a booby trap or like a trap door. And it's like you just know that the next guy is going to just walk through it like the last person did. And that's what it just sort of feels like, if you know what I mean, until the problem gets solved, until the trap door goes away. That's where I get a bit let down.
Yeah.
You just get let down that the next guy's going to be a sucker to the next problem, or, the same problem the last one had.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just fed up with it all, Jack. At this moment in time, I'm just bored of it. I'm fed up with it. I'm sick of coming into every season with every expectation and hope and, passion and put my heart into everything, and then just being railroaded midway through the season. I'm just absolutely fed up with it. I feel let down season in, season out. I find myself criticizing players more than I've ever have done before. And I just know it's not the right route to go down, and I can't continue to go down this road either. So, look, with football, though, you're going to have bad times and good times, and sometimes you've got to stick through the bad no matter how bad they get, because when them good days come, you're going to enjoy them 10 times more. Hopefully, this is the last sort of managerial change we'll see for the next 3 to 4 years. Because if not, I can tell you now, and I'm in fear of 3 to 4 years, we'll be sitting there talking about relegation battles and stuff like that, and I do not want that to happen. So hopefully we can just get this next managerial appointment right. But look, Conte is it's not official yet, but you can take it that Conte is no longer Tottenham Hotspur manager. We are going in a new direction with Ryan Mason in charge. So, guys, the questions are: let me know you want to come in here in the future, but also let me know, do you think Conte? Was it right to sack Conte? Let us know in the chat. Feel free to come on and let us know. But we're going to start getting on some of the guests, and we're going to start with the one and only Mia this evening. Mia, let's get her on. Mia, how are you, my dear?
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm even more depressed hearing you two after like an hour of listening to that. I just was like, I've got so many things in my head that I want to say. So many
sorry for the
things
cue into our therapy session there.
Yeah, like I just feel like there's so many things that we could touch on. I think, like for me, it feels like there isn't just one issue. It feels like there's a multitude of issues, and it's all been chucked into like a boiling pot, and it's threatening to spill over. That's how I kind of see it. It's like a big boiling pot of so many issues, like there's just so many different bits and pieces. So I want to start off and say that I agree with what Conte said about players. Absolutely. Some of these players need to be held accountable. We said it on the other day when I come and done the build up with you. Like, what is their issue with like not just, having the balls sometimes, like where are your balls? Are they stuck up inside you? Like, what is going on? And I do feel like that with the players. And you look around and you're just thinking, like, what are these players doing on the pitch? You don't know what you're doing. But then what I'll also caveat that with is that I do feel like Conte at points needs to take some responsibility for decisions that he has made. And I do think that that's obviously, I feel like if he would have put his hands up and said, actually, some of it was me, I think I would probably be a bit more on board with him, because I feel like, okay, we're spreading the love around, because that's how I see it. There's plenty of this blame pie to go around to everybody. Like, everybody can get a slice of the pie, in my opinion. So, like, to me, I think that was a bit of an issue for me. Like, that's the only one thing I will drag him on, is that I do think that he didn't take responsibility when I think that he could have said.
What do you think?
So I feel like, I think that he needs to take some of the responsibility for the way that we play at times, because he is the manager. He sets the team up. So tactically, if something's not working, how many times have we seen tactical tweaks and stuff? People make little tweaks, or you can change it somehow, or call one of them over and say, don't let them come onto you, press more, press, come on, press. Like, and I know that you're going to say, well, players aren't listening, but I really do feel like that you're telling me all 11 of those players, or like 10, because obviously the goalkeeper, but 10 players aren't listening. I don't believe that. I don't know. Like, I don't know if that's true, but I'm not going to sit here and judge on facts that I don't know.
But look, we're never really going to know a certain fact on whether they're listening or not. But I can tell you now, at halftime, Højbjerg was in the tunnel in the Southampton game, telling the players, stay focused, get switched on, get ready to go. 30 seconds later, the ball's in the back of our net after halftime. It does show that
I understand this.
People are not listening. And if Højbjerg, who is in the squad and has been here longer than Conte, can't get the guys to listen, what chance has Conte?
But that's just one game, Dave. Like, I'm talking about several games. Like, we're not just going to isolate one game when it comes to Conte blame, because I feel like there's been many a game where he has made mistakes. Like, he has made mistakes, and I don't think
I agree, Mia, that he's made mistakes.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with trying to say that he makes mistakes, you know. I don't feel like that it's a bad thing to say sometimes that there's more to blame than just one factor. And that's how I see it. I try and see it in quite a level-headed kind of way. And I try and look at it maybe from a bigger picture. And I know that people don't always agree with me, but this is like just my personal view and how I see it. But yeah.
Is that I see where you're coming from, Mia, because it felt like his press conference to you, I imagine, if I were to maybe guess how you read that press conference, you probably agreed with almost everything he had to say, but you just wished that maybe at some stage in it, he also had maybe sort of pointed to himself in some sort of manner, and maybe it took some sort of acknowledgement and some sort of accountability himself, because while he might be right to sort of say everything that he did, I think he was actually correct in almost everything that he said. But I could see how maybe those who haven't been as happy with Antonio Conte are still left a bit wanting of a bit more accountability on his side. And I understand that. I just sort of, maybe for me personally, Mia, it's like, he's not the first person I go to when it comes to, I understand maybe he gets his piece of the pie when it comes to the blame, but he's sort of not the first person that I hand the piece to, if that makes any sense, if you get my analogy.
Yeah.
He's maybe a bit later down the road in the line or in the queue that I would hand a piece of the blame to.
Yeah, no, I understand that, but there is a bit of the pie to him. So, like, I feel like that is a problem. And I think people are talking about the style of play, you know, and getting a bit fed up with that style of play, which I do get that too. And, you know, I do understand where they're coming from also. So, like I say, I try and look at it from all different angles. And I do think that, you know, there's, like I say, the players that he criticised, the players that have been criticised, I completely agree with, because there's been players here way too comfortable for way too long. Like, absolutely. The list that I've got is bigger than Santa's naughty list, like, of players that I want out of here. I've like, this player needs to go and this player to go. Like, to me, I said to you before, if they don't want to go because we can't sell them, rip up their contract and say goodbye. Like, I don't want you here. If you don't want to be at this club playing for that shirt, off you go. That's how I see it. Like, I've got no sentiment when it comes to those players. 100% not. Like, I really don't. But like I say, I also got no sentiment towards managers in a sense either, because like I don't get sentimental over things that much, because I above all want the team to do well. And if that manager isn't working in that team, then I do think, well, they're not working, so I don't want them to be here.
But here's where many Spurs fans are at, though. What manager has worked? You know, it hasn't just been Conte; it's been Jose.
Right. So,
you know, and
okay,
regardless,
you're going to go back to if you're going to go back to other managers, though.
Just quickly, regardless, before we, you know, whether we think they have to take a proportion of the pie or whatever else, proportion of the blame. The reality is, it can't continue this way. It just can't.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But if we're going to go back to managers, when you look at Poch, he had one of the best teams, yet he still didn't win anything. So part of that blame has to be on Poch, because you got us to those finals and those semi-finals, and he couldn't get us over the line. And that's him and the players. That's what I'm saying about in the past, when we look at it, if you look at it objectively, you can see that we got to those points, and some of those decisions that are made by players, by managers, that's down to them, and that is on them as well. So that's what I'm saying, where the pie has to be spread throughout the time. We just haven't got over the line. But the big majority of those players need to be gone. Like those players who continue to keep failing need to go. And this isn't going to be a very popular opinion, and I'm sure I'm going to get called that I'm not a real fan. I'm sure I'm going to get told that I'm talking nonsense. I don't know ball. But for me, a real rebuild would be to get rid of Son and to get rid of Kane, because if a Poch style manager comes in and they want to press, they're too old to do that pressing thing now. And if you want a true rebuild, why hold on to them like you're ripping off the plaster slowly? We know Kane, if he doesn't sign a contract
in the squad, that's why you don't get rid of them. They're not a problem in the squad. Nowhere near it.
But hold on a sec, weren't they there when we didn't win stuff? So they're just as culpable when we haven't won stuff.
Kane's our record,
but he still hasn't won. But he still hasn't won us anything, Dave. Yeah, but it does, because so you're saying that it doesn't. Hold up a sec. Let me just have my
1 second on Harry Kane. Right, it doesn't matter whether he's won anything or not. At the end of the day, he's done everything in his power to try and steer Tottenham towards a trophy. He's been let down by other people. You can't put all of it on Harry Kane. I'm selling someone like Harry Kane, who has continued to drag this club over the last 3 years. There's a reason why people don't mention him when rebuilding Tottenham, because he's not a problem. He doesn't need to be rebuilded on quite yet.
Right. So I'm not trying to say that all the blame is on Kane. You're misinterpreting my words, Dave. You're actually twisting what I just said, because I just said the biggest blame is other players as well, and they need to be gone. But what I'm saying to you is that when we don't win and get over the line, Kane has also been there, and he has not won anything due to the whole team not turning up, and that includes him. You have to include him and Sonny as well. Sorry, they don't get a pass because they scored so many goals.
Even though they've done absolutely everything in their power, we have to include them.
But they haven't. He's got a poor record in finals. He's got a poor final in semi-finals and finals, Dave. Those are facts. It doesn't matter, but he hasn't won us a trophy. The whole point is everybody wants to win a trophy, and he has not done that. He has not helped us get over the line as well as other players. I'm not just saying just Kane. I'm just saying all the other players as well as Kane. But Kane is just as culpable because he's in that 11. When he gets picked for that 11, he is just as culpable as the other 11.
I don't think he's as culpable, Mia. I think he's allowed. It's the same concept of he's allowed to take part of the blame, but he can't be taking as much blame as the other players. There's no way.
Right, he's allowed to have blame. I won't let him be blameless though, because a lot of people will not sit up here and blame Kane, because it's an unpopular opinion. I know, like I say, that people are going to say that I don't know ball and I'm talking BS, right? But to me, I'm sorry, but he has to be culpable. When he crosses that line, he has to be culpable as much as all the other players on that pitch, because goals win you games. And if he's not scoring goals in those big games, he isn't scoring those goals. That's the facts. Sorry, but we need a big
So does that mean then, Mia, just in your case, does everybody need to go then? Does the manager, the whole 11 need to go basically, or anybody that stayed here longer than the past 3 years need to go? Because if Kane needs to go, then Sonny needs to go, then maybe Højbjerg needs to go. Would you say basically everybody needs to go that's been here longer than the last 3 years? Because I feel like then that's the logic, right?
I think I think that
That's
my
your
logic
logic,
would
I'm
be,
assuming.
the players that have been here and haven't got us over the line because that mentality is clearly not in them. We need to start afresh. If we want to have a new mentality, we have to start afresh and not keep some of these players, because if we're just keeping them, we're just holding on to them for what? They didn't get us over the line all these other years, so why aren't we getting, like, that's the way I see it. And like I say, it's an unpopular opinion, and I know Dave's got a particular thing about Kane, but I don't have that towards any player, because to me,
hang on here. It's not just about Harry Kane, but when I see a player who's scoring 20 plus goals every single season and doing everything in his power to try and drag us through every single game, and he scoring goals at Tottenham has not been the problem of this football club over the last 3 years. And Son only, has been contributing with goals and assists as well, and done everything he can going forward, especially under Jose Mourinho as well.
but did they score in any?
I struggle. No, because in the dressing room there are areas that you fix way before these two areas and before you even include other people into it.
Yeah, it feels like it's very last on the priority.
In a job, you can do everything you can do, but you can still have people behind you that are letting you down, that are holding you back from succeeding.
Right, but
that can happen as well. So let's not put it, just because Kane plays, it's all, he has to be a massive part of the problem as well. No, he doesn't. There's other people letting this football club down. Kane has done everything he can. You don't get rid of players that have done everything.
But he hasn't, because he hasn't scored in those semi-finals and those finals to get us those goals to win the games.
20 plus goals a season, he's the club's record goal scorer. What more?
But he was playing, because in the Champions League, I want him to turn up. In the Champions League final, he should have turned up, but he didn't.
He was injured.
So he should have been played. So if he didn't, he should have been played. That's the manager's fault we didn't go over the line then. So it's got to be the manager's and the players' fault. So all of them have to take accountability. I'm fed up with people who
I'm fed up with this whole thing that everyone has to take a slice of the pie. How do you ever expect any issues to ever get resolved if you want to dish out the pie to everybody? At some stage, you have to dish out pieces of the pie to the problems and realize what aren't problems at this football club. If you give everyone a piece of the pie, you're never going to sort anything out.
Well, no, because you can't just blame one thing, because it's always more than one factor. No, you can't, because there's more than one factor to life. There's so many different little parts to it, Dave, that everything in life isn't just black and white. We know this. Life isn't black and white.
If someone robs a bank, you don't turn around and go, everyone in that vicinity is a bank robber. You blame the person who robbed the bank.
Right, but bank robbing's very black and white.
Let's not pretend it can't.
But the thing is, the person who's driving the car is also culpable, right? The person who set up the robbery is also culpable. So there's other factors to it that help along, and those people are guilty too, right? So it's not black and white, see? It's not black and white.
They're the ones that chose to do it. They're the ones that get blamed for it, not everybody else.
But everybody, the person who's driving the car gets blamed. Even if they didn't rob the actual bank, they get blamed. So it isn't black and white, see? It's not as black and white as
it just sort of feels like, though, Mia, it just sort of feels like Antonio Conte and Harry Kane, the two people maybe that you might have picked out, sort of fall, as long as maybe they do receive blame, in your opinion, maybe not that they're pretty far down the list, I would imagine, in terms of receiving the blame. So it seems like they're sort of the people you wouldn't get to first, at least in my opinion. And even if you think Conte is maybe the first one to blame, I don't feel like Harry Kane's the one that you kind of get to first. I think he's the one that maybe you kind of get to.
But then that's not what I said, Jack. But Jack, I didn't say he was
But why
first.
is he being brought up maybe then?
Because I said, if we want to rebuild, a true rebuild, we have to start from scratch. And if Kane isn't going to sign a contract,
100 million
why keep him for another year? Yeah, why keep him for another year? And
what striker you're going to get that's going to guarantee you 20 plus games a season? That's the answer. Why you keep him?
The fact is that one more year, we're going to keep him for that year and then have to restart anyway in another year. What is why do that if you want to have a proper rebuild? Like, we thought we couldn't survive without Bale.
Because you address other areas now being a problem longer than what Harry Kane has been.
But how many players, Dave, have come in and out of our club that we thought we couldn't live without? Bale, Berbatov,
I'm not making the argument that we're not going to live without Kane. I'm not making the argument.
Exactly, but you just said,
I'm making the argument for what you said. Why would you keep Kane for another year? Tell me what striker we're going to get that offers what Kane does, creativity and goals-wise. We're not.
Obviously, Kane is a very unique player, but at some point we're
then
going
that's
to
why
have
you
to
keep-
survive without him. But I wouldn't keep him for another year if he doesn't want to stay. Why let a player stay at our club that doesn't want to be here? I don't want no one at my club who doesn't want to be here. If he doesn't sign that contract, he doesn't want to be here. That's how I see it. And I'm not going to hold on to that. Like, I don't want to hold on to someone who doesn't want to be here. If he commits, that's different. But if he doesn't want to commit, sorry, I don't want him to be here. Like, it's just not worth it in my
Fair
opinion
enough,
to
but
keep
we've also
him
got to
because
realise fair enough, but we've also got to realise without Harry Kane's goals, we'd be in a relegation battle.
I think that that's a really over the top opinion when, like I say, we've had many players that have scored many goals in our past that have left the club.
Hang on.
Pardon?
How many goals has Kane got this season? How many goals has Kane got this season in the Premier League?
20 something, I think, is it?
20 odd. Take them out, and with the amount of goals we concede, we're in a relegation battle. Take them out, with the amount of goals we concede, we're in a relegation
battle. Right, because of the way, but when we had
in a relegation battle.
But the fact is, like I say, that's this season where we've conceded a lot of goals, right? In other seasons, Kane has scored that many goals. I agree with you. But in other seasons, like, we've had players that have scored many goals and have left the club, and we found somebody else to score those goals. So what I'm trying to say to you, that we have to at some point accept that Kane isn't going to be here. And if he doesn't want to sign that contract, I'm sorry, I don't think that we should keep him. That's just my personal opinion. And I'm not going to back down on my opinion because like you know, yeah, no, I agree. Like, the fact is what I'm saying to you is, like, that's just my personal thoughts, and I don't get offended by anybody telling me that they think differently. So that's fine. Like, I'm not going to be upset with that. That's fine. Like,
I think
honestly,
you did caveat it plenty. I think you did caveat it plenty. I think you did, you know.
Yeah, no, there's plenty of other caveats to it. Yeah, no, I did say this, like, and I did say that other people were to blame also. I didn't just say Kane's the main culprit. I think that, you know, at the end of the day, we should be frightened to lose a player when we've lost. I've seen, like you guys, I've seen many a player go from our club. Obviously, I'm a bit older than you, so I've seen a few more players
I just want to stress
come and go.
I just want to stress something, because something's been sort of tailed off where it doesn't need to be tailed off. I never once said I'm afraid to lose Kane. I'm just saying Kane is not the biggest part of the problem to lose. I know eventually we are going to have another guy that we fall in love with that scores goals. So let's not go down that route, because I never once said I was afraid to lose Kane. I've always
I never said you was. I never said that. I said we shouldn't. I didn't say you.
But you're saying we should never be afraid to leave Kane.
No, I said we as in the collective of, I mean a collective as a fan base, not just specifically you, Dave. I didn't point my finger and say you specifically. Like, that's not what I did. I said we as a fan base. I'm speaking as a we collective. In general, we're still going off sort of topic. Like, I agree. We are eventually going to end up having someone else in here. But, you know, to say that these guys need to go, you know, to start the rebuild, I completely disagree with. Completely, you start otherwhere. If you want any chance of succeeding in the Premier League or any competition, first and foremost you have to keep clean sheets. First and foremost, you have to put an end. I said that, but did you not hear when I said we need to get rid of them?
I know you said that.
I did say that,
but you also said Kane and Son have to go with it, and I disagree. That's what I'm saying. I disagree. You got to start with the back line. You got to start with the goalkeeper. You got to have a solid foundation in place before you let these guys go. You take their assist and the goals out of the team, and you're still conceding goals at the rate we're conceding them, we will fall further and further down that table, and we'll find ourselves in a relegation battle. So there should be nowhere near the list to go on this rebuild whatsoever, and that's what I'm saying.
Well, I did say that all of the players that need to go are that spine of players that have been here way too long and have lost us games in the past and haven't got us over the line. And that includes Sonny, and that does include Kane, because they have also been part of that team that haven't got us over the line when we had the best team with Poch and we got into those semi-finals. We lost the league to Leicester. And they were all part of that. So that's how I see it. But like I say, I would get rid of all of the back line. Absolutely. I've got a massive, big, long list of players I would get rid of, and they are top of my list. So don't get it twisted and think that I haven't got that in mind, that wouldn't be my first thing that I would do, because obviously it is. But like I say, they're also part of that. They're also part of it. And if they're going to be not signing contracts or getting older, to me, that's where we need to sort of think of a completely fresh start, like a fresh start, you know?
No, fair enough. Again, I disagree. I think you got to try and keep Kane and Son and build with it. But look, where do we go next, Mia? What manager do you want to see in the door next?
I quite like Luis Enrique. I think he's a good manager, or the Greek Australian manager. I think he's been said to be good, but I'm a bit wary of him being in the Scottish League. Yeah, I think I'm a bit wary of him being in the Scottish League and coming here, you know. I don't know, but yes, either them two. I think they play a good style of football, and it'll be interesting to see how they would set up. Obviously, we still need to get the defence sorted, but it would obviously be different. Obviously, from what they maybe the way we're set up now, it will be different. So yeah, it'd be very interesting to see what they would do with the players that we've got that are good, because we have got some good players. Like we've got a Basuma coming back. Basuma was very good for Brighton. He was a very good player. So I'd like to see him and see what he can do. If Spence comes back, we're going to have Destiny Dejoji as well. So like we've got some good young players actually coming, like that we have got in the squad. So it'll be very interesting to see what he does with those players. And even a Papa Matasar, I would like to see. Brian Hill might come back as well. So again, it'll be very interesting to see what they're gonna do. Like what he'll do with that, the new manager.
Look, Postecoglou, I like. I'm not sure whether Tottenham is too big of a gap from Celtic to Tottenham.
Yeah, that's what I said. I think it is a bit of a gap.
One thing I will say, I can tell you now, with the way Postecoglou plays, you will have to improve that backline massively. You know, they spent a lot of money. They spent money on Celtic getting a new goalkeeper, new backline for the way he plays, and it's still a bit rocky at times. So for me, I like his football. I think it's a good, attractive style of football, and Celtic fans absolutely adore it. I think he's a good manager and knows how to get the best out of players, but that backline will have to be improved if he is on that short list. That's 100%. I can tell you now, because if not, we're going to shit a hell of a.
But we know that the backline needs to be improved regardless. It doesn't matter who comes in. That backline needs to be improved, Dave. So we know that.
Do you think we'll do it this summer, Mia? Like you said, regardless of the manager, it has to be done. Do you think we'll end up doing it this summer?
Yeah, I think we will, but I think who we get depends on the manager, because it depends on what they want, you know. So I think that's obviously dependent on who comes in and what player they want, because we've got Romero, so it'll be like us. It will really depend. So we can't really decipher what player's going to come in like what players are going to come in that position. So yeah, it definitely will be an interesting one. But yeah, I do like Luis Enrique. Probably is my biggest choice. I won't watch Poch back. I believe, again, like you, going back, never really good. I think it's too soon in his career. I think, you know, he can come back maybe in a few more years once he's had experience maybe in other jobs. So I want him to get another job so we don't keep getting associated with him, because I feel like this is like a constant thing. It's like an ex dragging onto their you know, dragging onto you. But like, please come back, beg him to come back. And, you know, to me, that, you know, that's not for me. That's not for me personally.
Yeah. Look, I have my doubts about Pochettino coming back. Look, it all depends whether they're going to be serious underneath Pochettino and promise him the rebuild that he first said we needed. I don't know how to feel about Pochettino. I think it's something I probably need to take a bit more time on, maybe look into it a bit more. It could go either way, though, really, couldn't it? He could bring us back to where we were underneath him in the first place, or, you know, the same shit could just continue, and it could be even worse and ruin his reputation.
I don't think it's worth the risk with Poch to come back and see if he's going to emulate what he did before, you know. I just don't know if it's worth that risk to see if he would. I'd rather start afresh, you know, again, start afresh, fresh manager, fresh ideas coming into the club with new eyes. And I think that would probably be better, but we definitely need to get rid of so many players. Like, there's so many players that need to get gone, like, absolutely.
Yeah, look, dark times ahead. Another summer of turmoil in terms of management, players. If Paratici goes a DOF again, hopefully times improve soon, Mia. Hopefully times improve soon.
Hopefully,
But look, what's coming up on your channel? What can people expect up on your channel, Spurs Between the Lines?
I've got my live that I did today, which I gave all my opinions. Wasn't quite as fire as this because I'm on my own, so I'm just talking to myself in the chat. But yeah,
No one's
I
arguing
do.
on your own. I'd be worried if
I
you were
know.
arguing on your own.
Yeah, I could probably argue myself occasionally. I do think that. So yeah, and obviously I've got some videos as well. I'm going to be releasing. I've released one already on some past transfers, something a bit different because I want to release some videos that are a bit different, not just based on now. A little flashback to the past, you know, having like a little reminisce about some players, about our past, etc. So yeah, I've got some of those coming up as well. So I've got a few like different things. I do my lives 8:45 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time. So if you can join me on those, it's really lovely. It's a nice little morning chat with everybody that we all quite enjoy. It's quite a nice chilled chat in the morning.
Maybe one of these mornings I'll be up on time to get on there, eh?
If you do, I think I'm going to have a heart attack, Dave. If you come in that chat, I think I'm going to be like, what is he doing awake at this time?
Oh, God knows. God knows. But Mia, before you go, J. Cole says, Mia, thumbs up. Get money for Son and Kane and rebuild from zero, from scratch.
Yeah.
So, Jay,
Yeah, there were
agrees with
people
you.
there were people in the chat that did agree. I did look, and there were a few people. Like I say, it's not necessarily a popular opinion, but it is my opinion, and nobody's opinion is above anybody else's. So I don't think my opinion is above Dave's, and no, or anybody else's in the chat. I think we should all understand we all love Spurs, but we all just see it slightly differently.
Yeah.
So I think that's how I view it. So when I'm on my channel, I respect everybody has that different view, and I'm never disrespectful towards other people's opinions. And for that person who told me to get back in the kitchen, very, very funny. I'm actually not sitting in my kitchen right now. I'm in my dining room. So cool.
Well, while you're in the dining room, put your feet up and enjoy the rest of your evening, Mia.
I will do.
I'll see you soon. Big
Speak
yourself.
to you soon.
So everybody, that's Spurs Between the Lines. The link is here in the chat. Get over there, smash that subscribe button, and show Mia your support. Big up, Jay. Look, for me, I get one day we'll have to be without Kane and Son, but we got to understand how hard it is to go to find players at that caliber. And do you trust the club to be able to find them and bring them in with some of their transfer records down the last few years? Me personally, I don't. And I don't think, you need to get rid of Kane and Son. I think they've done everything they can over the last few years to drag Tottenham through this tumultuous period. I think they also feel let down by the back line and stuff like that. And I don't see the benefits of getting rid of them and starting from scratch when I think you should keep them and just improve that back line, my man. And I think you'll see the benefits from it. But look, I understand Kane only has 1 year left on his contract. Not quite sure what's going to happen there. Some people were saying that he's leaving. Let me see if there's any reports on that just quickly. Let me see. I don't see anything just as yet, but I will keep my eye out for sure. But look, I'm hedging my bets that I don't think the contract will be signed this summer. I don't think it will be. But look, like I said, I'd rather keep him for that year and let him run down his contract. Others, look, I know there's an argument to say you're going to take sort of some money from him, off him, while you can before he leaves. But for me, I just think we're going to find it too hard to replace Harry Kane, especially when you look down at some of our signings down the last few years before Harry Kane got here. I think they've been piss poor, to be honest with you. None of them were capable of even doing what Harry Kane has done. But big up, J. Cole. Really appreciate the support, my man. But look, we're going to keep this fan show moving. Who did I say was next? I think it's Daniel. Daniel's next, I think I said. Let me see. 1 second, up to the very top. Daniel is next. Here he is. Daniel, how are you keeping, my man?
No, I'm good. Of course. Yeah.
So look, where do you want to start with this? It looks like Antonio Conte will be sacked before the week is out. Do you agree with the way he went out, the outburst in the press conference? And are you happy that Antonio Conte is gone?
I'm not happy it's gone, but I love this outburst. I mean, that's exactly what I want to say, for years, to be honest. What I want to say to the players, that they're absolutely weak losers mentality. And yeah, no.
What players do you think he's alluding to when he makes that outburst? Everyone in general, or do you think there's
No,
certain pockets of players that he's talking about?
it's definitely certain, I mean, we know who they are, like Dyer and, the back line, them. So it just, I mean, the most annoying thing for me is that you see his passion still on the sidelines. How can he have more passion than the players when he knows he's going to be going at the end of the season?
Good question.
That's what I mean. What the fuck is going on?
It's concerning, right?
I mean, that's what I interpreted the fucking press conference. Passion. It's passion.
Yeah.
More than anger.
Me personally, I thought he spoke like a fan, Daniel. With the passion.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. Yeah.
Some would say, "Oh, that's unprofessional. Should he be doing that when he's the manager?"
But when you completely just completely lost and just tired and angry, that's gonna happen. There's no controlling that, So you can't blame him. I don't blame him. So no, yeah.
So look, what manager do you want to see next in the door here, then, Daniel? What direction do you want to go in?
I don't know. I just it's gonna be the same. We're gonna be getting a new manager, and then 1 year from now we're gonna be sitting here again with the same shit because of the players. So for me, I don't care. I don't. Nah, I can't take the energy. The only, yeah, I was just fed up. The only one I really would like to see Thomas Frank, though, to be honest.
From
Brentford. From Brentford.
Knows how to do a giant killing, Daniel.
Yeah, I mean, also if you're gonna be that club that rebuilds, I think he's the manager that could do a good rebuild as well. But again, some of the players just needs to go. They need to leave before we can do that. Shit.
Daniel, we've got an awful record away from home. We dropped the majority of our points away from home. The majority of the cup competitions we've gone out, and they've all been sort of away from home. What do you think is the problem there? Who's at fault for that? Manager, player, captain, Daniel Levy? Who do you blame for that?
No, it's just the players. I mean, when you have had two winners, Mourinho and Conte, that couldn't get grip on these players, I'm sorry, nobody can really do it. That's the end of the story. And this away from home, losing against or even drawing against shit teams, has come back from Poch days. I mean, we went away to Rochdale, fucking Rochdale, and drew. Couldn't get the win. They even took the lead.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden now Conte's the only one done that. No, it's every goddamn manager, because the players are the weak mentality. They can't. They just don't give a shit. So I'm sorry, but I just don't.
I see many people saying, look, a lot of the players at Tottenham, they're full internationals. They shouldn't be losing to the likes of Sheffield United. You got 11 internationals out there, and they're blaming Conte for that. But when do we stop throwing managers under the bus, right? Because you can't keep doing it 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. When do you actually start looking at the squad and saying, hang on, it's got to be rotated. It just has to.
Exactly. I mean, you shouldn't really need a manager. The talent enough there to beat Sheffield United B team.
Yeah.
They should just you go out and play your football and you beat them. End of story. Shouldn't be like tactical genius to beat Sheffield United's B team, should it? No. Fuck.
Shouldn't need tactics. At the end of the day, look, I get some people who are angry with the tactics, Daniel, but surely whether it's a defensive tactic employed or on the front foot pressing tactic employed, surely you should be seeing the players give it their all regardless of the tactics, right? And we're just not seeing that.
Yeah, every game they should be given an all, especially in competitions. They want. I mean, we're seeing now, of course, with some players, they don't care about winning a trophy because of that dire shit. They don't care.
Yeah,
they're comfortable. Like Conte said, You know, they don't want stress in their lives. You know,
Mm.
so there you go.
What do you make of the video of circulating of Dyer laughing when Mr. Portnoy said Tottenham we don't win trophies?
I want to strangle him. I want to strangle
Sums
him.
up the
Just
culture, though, right, Daniel? You know, if you've
yeah.
got, you know, he doesn't really care that it's been said to him or he's been laughed at about it. You know, he just laughs with it.
I mean, if he says it, then God knows how many others thinks the same. You know, within the club.
Do you think there's any others with that sort of attitude?
Well, I did see like the video. Doherty and Kane was with him as well at one point, and Doherty was the one like, don't say that.
Mm.
So I don't think it's everyone, but Jesus Christ.
Mm. Well, Daniel, we're at a place now going into the summer. I know you said you don't really care, but we need a new manager. Probably need a new club captain as well. So who would you put forward for a new club captain?
It's either Kane or Højbjerg. Yeah, one of them. Who like 50-50 for me between those.
Do you know what? I'm a bit dubious on Harry Kane, Daniel. He's had it last while since Hugo Lloris has been out, and I haven't really seen any sort of change in attitudes or motivation or, you know, anything like that, really.
No, that's true. I said that, but I do think he's not really a good captain, to be honest. But I just think it's like he's the vice captain already. So I already think like that's decided, to be honest. So that's more of what I mean.
And when Conte said about the selfishness of players, what do you think he meant by that, Daniel?
Well, it's they play for themselves. Don't care about the club, basically. Most, you know, like I said, Conte has shown more passion than some of the players, you know. So
yeah. Do you know what? You're absolutely spot on with that. You know, why is he showing more passion than some of the players on the sideline? And what do you think about it when he said, you know, they're letting the fans down? They're not playing for the fans either.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it is. They always done that, and they all never. Some players now, again, they never after a loss, they never apologize to the fans. You know, and after wins, they're like, "Oh yes, great 3 points. Come on, you Spurs." But not like after a loss, after embarrassing loss, particularly. Not like I'm so sorry for that fucking shit. That you don't deserve that. You know, you deserve better. Never, ever.
What's your thoughts on Mason coming in as interim manager?
See, that's another problem. Like, I mean, yes, man, he's going to bring Winks in. That's the first thing he's going to do.
Yeah, Winks be recalled.
Yeah, but he has worked with Conte now for like two seasons basically. So I don't think it will be that different. Could be the same system, you know, all that. So.
Do you think we'll see any better from the players in terms of performance, in terms of energy, in terms of running on the pitch, in terms of desire, hunger to win? Do you think we'll see any better under Ryan Mason now that Conte is gone?
Probably for the first games, and that's a joke as well, by the way.
Yeah.
They're gonna show more fight for fucking Ryan Mason than Antonio Conte. I want to slap some of these fuckers so bad. Jesus Christ.
No, I agree. Look, you know, I get that Mason's their friend and they probably want to do everything for him, but you know, at the end of the day, Conte's got trophies on his CV. You know, if he's the one that knows how to deliver them, so why would you do it? Why wouldn't you do it for Antonio Conte? I fully take that point.
Yeah, I mean, it's professional, not personal. You know, at the end of the day.
For sure. And look, do you know what? If I actually think we will see a bit of an upturn in results. If I go on by patterns from previous, you know, when Jose Mourinho came in, there was an upturn in results for a little period of time. Then it went sour. You know, when Nuno came in, first 3 games, they started off well, went sour after that. Then when Conte came in, you know, he sort of, it started off well. You know, and now things have gone down the Swanee again. So it wouldn't surprise me if we see an upturn in results. But like I said, you know, you can't keep relying on a manager bounce to keep you up at the top end of the Premier League. You just can't keep affording to be able to do that. It's not the right route to go down the road, right, Daniel? You know, it's what Southampton, Everton do.
Yeah, we're going to be ending up, you know, where they are at the end. I mean, look at Everton. We could easily become like them. Big club, you know, so.
Anything else you want to say to Spurs fans before we let you go, Daniel?
Yeah, I just want to say, like, I know there's a lot of, different opinions across the fan base. I've seen a lot of stream recently, but we should never let that, ruin friendships or relationships.
For sure.
Life is about, opinions and debates, in my opinion. So, we support Spurs, and that's we can suffer together.
Look, do you know what? It's the likes of you and people like you, Daniel, that fucking keep me going. You know what I mean? It's like I have people to vent to, I have people to speak to about all my problems. So I think you're absolutely spot on, and definitely a great message to end off on, Daniel. So look, big yourself up, and hopefully we get to speak to you again very, very soon, my man.
Yeah, of course. Take care, Dave, and come on, you Spurs. And
come on, you Spurs.
let's try and be positive.
I don't even want to say that anymore, Daniel.
No, it's exactly. I've just been a little bit sentimental, but there you go. Anyway, take care.
See you soon, Daniel.
Yeah.
Bye-bye, my man.
Take care.
Bye-bye. There you are, guys. Everyone, big up Daniel in the comments. Absolutely love that guy. He's absolutely furious with the players. I think he has absolute every right to. Big yourself up, Daniel. We've got James Richmond in the house. Big up, James Richmond. Good to see you in the building, my man. He says, thumbs up, guys. Look, I'm struggling to even say that lately. I was saying to Daniel there, my man, it's just like, what's there to be coys about, right now? It's just everything is absolutely gone tits up. And, it's again during the season where, we looked like there was an FA Cup. You know what? Last weekend we shouldn't have been playing Southampton. We should have been playing Blackburn, and we should be in an FA Cup semi-final right now. I think, look, that's where a lot of my frustration comes from as well. My motivation is just dying by the day, my man. But big up, James. We will keep this moving. Next in line is the one and only Chris. Let's get him on and hear what he has to say. Chris, how are you, my man?
Oh, David, I don't know where to start, man. I'm so depressed, mate. I am so depressed with this damn club, mate. Honestly, it's just drained me, man. Honestly. Look, there's only a couple of things I'm going to say about Conte, yeah, and then I want to be done with this conversation because I'm sick of hearing about it.
So I can have an argument with you.
No, David, there's only one thing which grew my frustrations with Conte was the AC Milan game when we went down to 10 men. Instead of saying fuck it, saying fuck it, oh, do you know what? We're losing 1-0 anyway. We've got 15 minutes to go. Fuck it, let's go for it. Let's just see what we can do. He brought on Sanchez. And I just put my head in my hands and went, you fucking cunt. You fucking bastard. Why did you do that? Why? And that's where my frustration goes. We were 3-1 up against Southampton on Saturday. Instead of going for the jugular, he went, you know what, let's go defensive. But David, I'm sorry, but I agree with everything he said on that press conference, every single word for those spineless bunch of cowards we have in that team. And for Eric Dyer to start laughing, yeah, I want to punch that guy in the face. I swear I will go to the stadium and give him a slap.
Chris, how does that make you feel as a Spurs fan, right? You're looking at it.
Sick.
Like, he's been involved in, I think, the last 6 or 7 exits of the FA Cup. He's been involved in a couple in the League Cup. He's been involved in some of the dross results across Europe over the last few years. And that's what you see when he's asked about trophies. How does that make you feel as a fan?
Like, I want to go on there and kick him in his face, mate. Honestly. It boils my... You need to maybe kick my phone out the window. Honestly, you came close to me kicking my phone out the window watching that video.
Yeah.
It's sickening. But if we've got players who can laugh about us winning nothing, they should not be in our club. They should be nowhere near. They should be having their contracts torn up. And saying, you know what, you want to laugh about us not winning anything? You're the part of the problem. Get out.
Yeah. Do you think, look, many Spurs fans have been outraged by this video. I've seen it all across socials. Do you think he will be gone this summer? Because we've been talking for a new contract for this.
No, David, don't worry. He's got his testimonial next year. He'll be there for that.
Why do you think the club are very hesitant to get rid of someone like Eric Dyer then?
Because they don't want to pay for a new defender. They don't want to pay for a new centre-back. They don't want to, obviously. They're too concerned, thinking, you know what? We've got Eric Dyer here. He'll do. Oh, we've got Rodon on loan at Rennes. He's coming back at the end of the season. He might do. I'm sorry, David, but this club this year season is drained all my energy from me. I'm like, do I actually give a shit? Do I actually care now?
Yeah.
I respect every single word that Conte said. I respect every single word he said. I may not agree with some of it, but 99% of what he said about those players, well deserved. And now they want to do the same thing they did against Poch. Oh, we don't like it. Oh, let's run to Daniel Levy. They did to Jose. Don't like his training. Let's run to Daniel Levy.
Daniel Rose also said he was going to Levy when he wasn't satisfied with Jose's answer over first team football, Chris.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said in the WhatsApp group. I went, it's a Danny Rose situation all over again. Oh, let's go to Daniel. Daniel will solve the problems. He'll sack the manager. Ben Davis. Don't like playing for Nuno. I'm going to go to Daniel. And now exactly the same situation again. So this time next season, David, we're going to have the same conversation.
Probably.
No, we will. We will.
Mourinho lasted 18 months. I think Conte, has been at 16 months now. Nuno, 5 months. I mean, you're right. David,
so at this time next season, David, I'll be saying exactly the same thing to you again. Of course, things won't change. I disagree with Mia that we shouldn't be selling Kane and we should not be selling Son. They're two of our best players. We need to keep them to build the foundation on. But that, from the goalkeeper to that back line, bar Romero, and maybe Porro. The rest, they can just get on the boat and disappear.
Is there any of the players that have been shipped out under Conte that you would give a chance back at this club, Chris?
Do you know what the thing is, David? All those players that he shipped out, the problem is we're going to end up back with them at the start of next season, and the new manager is going to have to give them a chance. So basically, we're going to go in this never ends a circle. We're going to keep on end up fat fuck. The Giola shit show is going to be back. Stinks is going to be back. We're going to be in the same place again.
Yeah.
So where do we go, Dave? Tell me, where do we go from there when we have to have them same players back again?
All of a sudden, if they come back, we're it's even more of a big of a mess, right? Because you're going to have about 8 or 9 centre midfielders all fighting for 2 positions. So, I mean, it's even bigger of a mess, Chris. Look, me personally, I would like to maybe see Reguilon given another go, to be honest with you. I think we were a bit harsh on him the first time. I think the only reason why he was loaned out was because Conte wanted Perisic and they had to get rid of a foreign player out of the squad to keep young for homegrown. But look, Session has proved since he's not good enough. So I would give someone like Reguilon a second chance.
It's going to be good competition, though. It's going to be good competition, though, for Doji and Reguilon. It'll be good competition for the both of them.
Yeah.
To both up the games. Spence, you never know with a progressive manager who wants to with a project.
Spence hasn't had a great loan spell, but he had a really good game against Mbappe there.
I know, but Dave, that's the thing. Maybe it was under a progressive manager, one who's there for a project, might get a tune out of Spence. To be fair, Conte hasn't given him a chance. Let's be real. He hasn't, has he? He never had a chance under Conte. Yeah. Because all of this is not my player. I didn't sign him. That nonsense. That is where a lot of the nonsense is. See, but with Conte, it's a sore subject for me. As much as I'm really, really hating for what he did against AC Milan, I respect every word he said against those players on Saturday. I respect every single word for it.
Spot on. Now, Chris, I want to ask you about going in a different direction, but first, let's address Ellie's super chat here. She says, there is the truth, and then there are liars. We know Conte is a man who tells it as it is. I love them. He called out all the lying cheats who are not pulling for the club, who are cheating us fans. And look, Ellie, 100%, I agree. I don't understand. I get we get personal when people criticize our club, and look, I'm one of the biggest ones of that. But I don't understand the outrage with what Conte said, Eddie, because, I mean, it's true. You go across social media, any of the YouTube channels, any of the fan shows, you hear people saying it all the time. You hear people...
See, the problem is, Dave, the players have got away with it so much over the last 5 years since Poch left, No manager has had the balls to come out and say it.
Mm.
Conte used to say, "Do you know what? I've had enough of this. I've had to keep my mouth shut for long enough." By the time I actually said something.
Mm.
And do you know what? I respect Conte more for actually coming out and saying it, not just saying it in the background.
Yeah.
Because I was reading that he hasn't spoke to the players since Saturday. He has not even uttered a word to them. He's told the other coaches, give them 2 days off. I don't want to see them. I don't want to see their faces. I don't want to talk to them.
But apparently, Chris, he didn't even speak to them before he went out and dished out that public humiliation.
No, he hasn't. Do you blame him? Because if that was me, they would be getting the Alex Ferguson treatment, getting a boot in their face. Every single one of them. They disgraced our club. They disgraced our team. They disgraced our fans. They disgraced the badge. That's what the worst thing is. They disgraced wearing our shirt.
Yeah.
How dare they go out there thinking, we're Tottenham, we're great. We don't care if we win or lose. Who are they? Who are they to do that?
Yeah. Spot on. I see some people saying Conte is sacked. I haven't seen anything. Just quickly, Chris. Just give me 1 second while I continue.
Let's have a look at Sky Sports. Let's see what's happening.
I don't see anything official yet, but people saying
I've heard it was the end of the week. I was hearing at the end of the week that it's by the end of the week. They're sorting out a severance package.
It's not official, but it's going around in circles that Conte has officially been sacked. So look, we'll wait out and see how that pans out. But Ellie, I mean, look, a lot of these players have been cheating us, and it's not good enough. It's not good enough anymore, you know. And I'm glad that many people are awake to it now, because now we can start getting around to fixing some serious issues in this club going forward. You know what I mean? And that's what we need to do. So big up, Eddie. Really appreciate the support. Duncan's Talk, my man. If you're a fan show, remember the link is up in the community section. Just click on the link. It'll bring you in. And there's a small bit, there's 4 or 5 people ahead of you, my man. But get on and I'll take you and let's listen to what you have to say. Still don't see it as being official, but Chris will take this from Ellie. She says, stinks funny, Chris, bloody hilariously. Methinks he will stink our shit if he's given another chance. Oh my God, God help us. I think it will happen too, as he is a blue-eyed boy, just like bloody Dyer. Look, I think if Potter's appointed, I think there's definitely a chance of Ryan Mason ends up getting the job full time. I think there's definitely a chance Skips or Harry Stinks could come back. But Ellie, you know, this is a guy that, you know, moaned that no one from the club has reached out to Winks, and he just doesn't get it. You know, nobody here wants him. And for me, he's another part of the culture of excuses, blame everyone else but himself. And he's only going to stink out the dressing room even more, in my opinion. He's already proved once he's not good enough. I don't want to have to give this guy a second chance to prove he's not good enough and go through the same pain that I had to do when I was watching him in the first place. Chris, what we said earlier.
Agreed, 100%. But see, this is the problem where when you bring a new manager, it has to be a total reset of all the players, which is going to be a bloody issue. I would rather not see them players back. But see, I don't want Poch back for the nostalgia issue, which is what a lot of fans want. Yeah. Why? We shouldn't be going backwards. Yes,
apparently there was a guy on Talk Sport this evening, Chris, a journalist, and he was saying that Poch has been pushing for a long time for his job back at Tottenham.
Yeah, but the thing is, Dave, right? Yes, we missed the attacking element of the football, which we played the free-flowing. Who cares? Who dares wins football? We know this. But what's the point if those same players who threw him under the bus are still there? It makes no sense.
Yeah.
You've got Eric Dyer, who Poch told him clearly, you're not good enough. That's why you're on the bench. You got Winks, who thought he was Iniesta under bloody Poch.
Oh, stop. Don't remind me.
No, seriously, David. Honestly, yeah. You still got those players
Poch
there.
actually compared him to Iniesta, though, didn't he?
Don't say no more.
Is that one of his famous quotes?
Yeah. He can be the great. He can be as great as Iniesta. Yeah, of course he did. He did it for one game against Real Madrid, and that was it. But David, then you've got Ben Davies still there as well, pushing for his testimonial. Hugo Lloris pushing for his testimonial. You still got these players there who threw Poch under the bus. All training was too hard. Yeah. He trained us too hard for it. It's not fair.
But Chris, they've complained about training on the last 4 managers, right? Underneath Pochettino at the end. They complained about Jose's fitness methods. They complained about Nuno's as well. And you've seen some of them come out under Conte complaining about the saying that the training is too repetitive. So, I mean,
Well, why? Well, why?
Players don't want to do any training whatsoever.
Well,
What manager will ask them to do something in training if they keep complaining about it?
David, no, my question is this. Why was the training repetitive? If they don't get it right the first fucking time, that's why they're going to have to do it again, isn't they? You do it right the first time, you don't have to repeat it.
Exactly. exactly, Chris. You're absolutely spot on with that, man.
David, am I wrong? Am I wrong, David?
No,
If you do, if you learn to
understand something, the manager can move on and start doing other things, right?
If you learn to clear the fucking ball out your 6-yard box, you don't have to repeat that 1,000 times a week.
Yeah, it's madness.
Some of these players are just a walking excuse. They are. It's sickening.
I'm fed up with it, Chris. I'm absolutely fed up with it. But look, you know, this is what I've been trying to highlight about some of these defenders and stuff like that, that they have to go. They're here for the money. They're here for a good time. They're here to maintain their lifestyle. They ain't here to win. They ain't here to match the fans' ambitions.
Well, clearly, according to Eric Darius, he's there for a laugh.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Eric Darius there just for a giggle.
Well, that's clear to see with the video from Mr. Portnoy. For sure. Well, Chris, anything else you want to say to Spurs fans before we let you go, my man?
Well, I would say try to stay positive, but the way things are looking, I can't even actually say that because I'll be lying to you as if I did.
Yeah.
Honestly, Dave, there's nothing positive to say. It's part. All I'm going to say to you, David, on this one is to be continued because we'll continue this next season.
Yeah. Oh well, I hope Chris.
We will continue. David, we'll continue our discussion next season. Part 2 will become next season. It's the way it's going, isn't it? Really, if we think, if I don't laugh, I'll end up telling this whole bunch of teams just go fuck themselves.
Sort of been a common theme over the last 2 years. You know, even when we got rid of Jose Mourinho, it was sort of similar this time last year, maybe a small bit earlier, right? In around the Carabao Cup finals. So
Dave,
I'll be here this time next year.
Dave, do you know what you should do? Put up a poll, yeah, to put what month we're going to get the manager. Will it be June? Will it be May, June, July, August, or September?
Surely you can't take it for 71 days, though, right, Chris? Like it did to hire fucking Nuno.
70, Dave. I'm going to just lay the bet down 73 days.
Oh,
this is what for you. And then we're gonna employ a manager who's going to go, I'm going to make you proud. Yeah, of course you are. And David, don't even ask me what manager I want because I really couldn't care less because it's going to be the same situation again.
Yeah.
I really don't care who the manager is now.
You don't have any preferences whatsoever, though. I know you're angry and stuff like that, Chris, but you don't have any preference whatsoever who you'd like to see in the dugout.
Doris the Tea Lady. There you go.
So like you've had Marco Silva, Postecoglou, you've had the guy at Brentford, you've had Glasner, you've had Gallardo or Gallardo, whatever you call him, the Argentinian guy. You've had Amorim, you have De Zerbi, you have Pochettino. You have no preference whatsoever.
Billy the Gardener?
Or the groundsman. At least they're award-winning, right? They've got more trophies than ours.
No, David, I've got the perfect one. The Hitman, the Italian Hitman, the one who's always with Conte. He'll do. He'll scare the shit out of the players. No, seriously. I think I'll go with Thomas Frank because he's a progressive manager.
What is it about Thomas Frank that so many people like this? What do you like about him?
I think he's good with younger players as well. He can bring those players up. Look at Ivan Toney. No one knew who the hell he was until he went to Brentford. He's brought a lot of those younger players up from the Brentford Championship team, and he's molded them into decent players. And he's taught those players to go out with no fear. And I like this style of football he plays. He plays progressive attacking football.
Yeah.
He doesn't do this, right? We sit back, wait for the counter attack. Sit back, wait for the counter attack. He doesn't do that. He goes, right, we're going to go for the jugular. If we're going to win, we're going to win. If we're going to lose, we're going to lose. We're going to go down fighting.
Yeah.
I don't want to, David. I'm sick of. I know as much as I respect Conte, I don't want to see another Conte style manager where it's going to be wait for the counter attack, wait for it, wait for. Oh, we're 1-0 down. Wait for the counter attack. Oh, wait. Oh shit, we're now 2-0 down. Now what we're going to do?
You still don't think even if we play on the front foot and start pressing, because when you press, your midfield gets up with your forward line, which leaves your defence exposed, and you also ask your defence to often defend on the halfway line rather than how deep we are. You're not concerned that we're still going to concede goals at the same rate?
David, I haven't read that we didn't have a very good defence, but we still went for hell for leather to try to get a result.
Mm.
David, I'd rather see my team lose trying than lose on a whimper. Because even though we drew with Southampton, for me, that felt like a fucking painful loss.
Yeah, it felt like a loss.
That hurt. That hurt worse than losing to Leicester 4-1.
Yeah.
That's how much more it stung. So I'd rather see a manager who's going to go out and try to win the game, not say, "Oh, we're 3-1 up now. Let's just sit back and take the pressure," full well knowing that this defense can't handle pressure. Because that's what he done. That's what Conte did basically. He goes, "Yeah, let's go defensive," but full well knowing that this defense is not capable.
Yeah, but that's why you defend, Chris, though. Like if you've got a building with shit foundations, you don't build on top of it knowing that it's going to come down. You
David,
bring the foundations.
It was like the Titanic hitting that fucking iceberg. It went down so quickly, it was ridiculous. It was Dave. For me, I'd rather see somebody who can get the players playing as a team. Because to be honest with you, there is too many individual players thinking they're better than everybody else. There's too many players thinking I should be in the team when they clearly should not. Do you know what I mean? Like there's players demanding to be in the team, which like why do you think you should be in the team? Because you shouldn't. Eric Dyer is a championship defender at best.
No. At very
best, he's a championship defender. Ben Davies, he's had some good games. Can't really. Chicken Royale only recently started coming good. Romero is the only one who's actually can say he's been consistent.
Some would argue he hasn't been though, Chris. Some would argue that he's been a part of the problem. Few sending offs here and there, few mistakes.
Problem with Romero, he's a ball in a china shop. He sees red and that's it. He sees somebody's legs and he thinks, well, if I can't get the ball, I'm going to get their legs. Fair play to him. I'd rather see him do that than seeing Dyer do his dance in the box. His little leg movement with his arms behind his back.
Just a bit of an update on the Conte situation. It says internal discussions continue while Antonio Conte has not received an official or final communication as of now. Daniel Levy has final say, expected to decide to part ways with Conte, still waiting for more talks in the next 24 to 48 hours before final steps of the process.
David, take that as he has been sacked, but they just don't want to confirm it yet.
Yeah.
He's been sacked, but they just don't want to admit it just yet because they want to get the replacement in first.
Well,
that's what they're doing. They're doing the usual.
Mason be in charge against Everton, so we'll wait and see. But Chris, good call in, my man. Really appreciate your time this evening.
You too, Dave.
We'll speak again soon, hopefully on the better circumstances.
Oh yeah, Dave. On a positive note, it was a great meeting you and Jack just before the AC Milan game. It was a real pleasure.
Yeah, no, it was. It was great to see you and spend a bit of time with your man. It was a nice surprise.
Yeah, it was good seeing you and Jack. So hopefully next time we see each other, it'll be on better circumstances.
Yeah, I hope so. Even next time we speak, Chris, hopefully we're speaking under better circumstances as well, my friend.
Yeah. And do you know what? In the most simplest of voice, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs. Love that, Chris. Big yourself up, my man.
Yeah, man. Take it easy, mate.
Time this evening. Oh, Chris, love that guy. You know when he's hurting. I'm at the point. I'm just sick of speaking to Spurs fans always hurting. When can we sit here and talk about good times, trophies, wins, clean sheets, committed performances? It's all I want. I don't ask for much. I'm sick of always being in the mud all the time. Sick of always problems at Tottenham Hotspur. It's got to change soon. But Ellie, I mean, honestly, if Winks comes back, I think I'm going to have to be done for a little while because I can't be held responsible for what I'm going to say. I mean, the guy's an absolute loser. He's proven that. He's showing that. The club give him contracts through injury crisis. you know, when he's been injured, and he still moans about the football club. We can see here pretend he cares all he likes. The reality is he just doesn't have the winning mentality we need. And I fear that you will see some of them players that have been banished out on loan given a second chance. And I don't think we should. You know, at the end of the day, the guy just can't cut it in the Premier League. We've given him more than enough times. You know, I think his mentality stinks. I think his name stinks. It rhymes with wing. It stinks as well. And I've just had enough of him, Ellie. Quite blatantly, if he comes back, you know, you may as well just give Dyer a new contract, keep Davies, keep Sanchez. You may as well. You just fucking may as well. You're setting the tone for what's coming. But big up, Ellie, my dear. Really appreciate the super chat. Really appreciate the support. When am I going to get to speak to you next? Everyone, Ellie hasn't been too well this week. Please get in the chat and wish her the best of health. Big up, Ellie, and really appreciate the support, my dear. We'll keep this going. The next one in line is Michael. Let's get him on and hear what he has to say. Michael, how are you keeping, my man? What was hard?
You know, like I wish I could come here and like make everyone happier and make everyone, you know, like cheerful for at least like a couple of minutes, right? But honestly, I'm really torn, because on one hand I really want to like properly rage. I want to properly, like, you know, lay into this team, lay into this fan base, lay into this ownership, those players, etc. But on the other hand, I'm so deflated that it's you know, it's strange, because it's like building up inside me, and I know it will burst at one moment, right? But I don't know exactly when, right? So that's not a good state to be in, definitely, right? But
you know what, Michael?
Yeah.
I just don't have it in me to rage anymore. I've actually got to the point. Do you know what? I'm known as a very passionate fan and all. That's slowly dwindling, my man. You know, the flame is sort of slowly starting to be put out. I'm not sure how much I can keep doing this, how much I could keep dedicating my love, my time, and my effort, my energy, you know, sacrificing time with loved ones for this shit any longer. I'm not sure I can do it. It just can't keep continuing like this. Something's got to change now. Hopefully, Antonio Conte is sacking, which it looks like he is gone. Hopefully, his sacking, you know, can maybe ignite something inside the whole club to get change. But Michael, look, I don't know where to start. I don't know whether to ask you, do you think things will change? Do you think Conte was right? Were you on that maybe, you know, are you happy that Conte is now gone? And where do we go from here?
You know, I've had a couple of discussions with some of my friends who aren't Spurs supporters, right? Most of them are supporting like United, Arsenal, whatever, right?
Yeah.
But as I've said plenty of times, especially in my group chat, we try to be like respectful and actually like listen to what others have to say about their club, right? And there is this other Spurs fan also in this group chat who was like completely on the Conte out train for like 3 to 4 months, right?
Yeah.
And we had some like, you know, arguments, whatever, right, about it. But I was typing something about like the whole situation, and he was like, "Oh, come on, just shut up already. You should be done with Conte. Like it's over, right?" And I told him something like, "Listen, it's not that I like love Conte. It's not that I love his football, right? I just feel like for our club, in my opinion, right? I know many people will not agree with me, but I think for our club, the best course of action would be to stick with a manager. And because Conte was here, and because, in my opinion, we are actually not that far away from a team capable of playing 3-4-3. I feel like it was just pragmatic and, you know, and logical for me to stick with Conte, right? Again, it's not that I love him, it's not that I love his in-game management, whatever, right? It's just I just felt that it will be pragmatic, right, to stick with him. But then I also said, like, if he gets sacked, I want us to appoint a coach, whoever it is, whatever style he plays, and I want us to stick with this guy. I want us to like go through thick and thin, you know, go through all the shit, and you know, and just actually stick with the guy, right? And my like main thing that I want to say right now, if you are like a project merchant just who was like screaming that Conte is not a project manager, whatever, right? If I hear any of those people moaning in October with new manager that the style of play is wrong or whatever, right? I will burst. I will completely like lose it. Because why? Because people are impatient. They cannot like they have to understand if we sack Conte now, right? It's another project or another like managers that we just cut in half, like every progress that we made, those 3 transfer windows that we actually wasted right now building a Conte team, and what we are going to appoint Luis Enrique now. Like if you look at this team, maybe 3 to 4 players in the entire squad are capable of playing Luis Enrique ball, right? Are capable of playing what he wants to do, right? It's maybe like Kulusevski, Poro, Bentancur, let's say, and maybe Kane because he's world class, right? I don't think even Sonny could play in a proper like Enrique system, right? Because Sonny is a like counter-attacking, pacey finisher, right? He's not an intricate, like ball carrier with great passing and great dribbling or whatever, right? So people have to, if we want to start a project, people have to be prepared to suffer a lot more than they suffered through this season, right? And I'm serious with it, right? And honestly, like I'm really like on I really want to be on a warpath with some of like YouTubers, Spurs YouTubers that were so Conte out, and if it turns to shit, I kind of feel like it's what some of the fan base deserves for being so impatient and for being so like snowflakey with the whole like
Do you know
the
what, Michael?
situation around. David, could you like can I please finish, right? So it's for me, it's like we were so happy that Conte got appointed, right? Because there were like 2 scenarios that people saw. One was we are actually going to win something, right? And the other one was it's all going to go to shit, and he's going to like call out the club and call out the players and call out everything, right? And he's going to actually burn the place down, right? And he just did it like 1 day ago or 2 days ago, right, on his press conference, and everyone is up in arms and frustrated and offended because he's calling out the club. Decide what you want, right? He did exactly what people wanted, and I'm so happy. See, he said every single word in that press conference. I am in full agreement with everything he said during that press conference. Those players are bottle jobs, and we've been saying, me and you, David, we've been saying this plenty of times, right? And like especially like again, like whether you want to include Conte, Kane, Son, whatever in the bottle job group, whatever, right? I don't really care. The fact is that vast majority of this player base, this team, are bottle jobs, right? They just don't know how to play under pressure, and it's not even the pressure of major tournament, semi-finals, whatever, right? You just have to put them under pressure in during the match against Southampton away, who are bottom of the league, and they will crumble like a fucking like a house of cards, right? So I'm happy he said that. I'm also happy he called out the ownership, right? Because somebody public had to say it, right? Because if I say it, if you say it, even if other Spurs channels say it, we are small, right? Let's be honest, we are small. Sky Sports doesn't cover our streams, unfortunately, right? So somebody had to say it. Somebody had to put it out there, right? And I personally think that Conte wanted to do well with this club. I think that he actually enjoyed his time here up until a certain point, and I actually think that he wanted to succeed with those players, with our club again, right? And I think that he's plenty of times said that he's willing to stay here for like 3 to 4 major windows, but all the time he was saying that something needs to change in this club. Like the mentality of this club needs to change if they actually want to win something, right? And whether we do it or not, it's up to our ownership, right? So yeah, that's that's it for me, right? He gets sacked. Yeah. Go on.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. Just before you move on to other points, I agree with you that I think we have to show some managers some patience to build something. I think it's the only way you're going to get trophies nowadays. I think it's been proven with, Man City with Guardiola, Liverpool with Jurgen Klopp. You've got to give, even us with Pochettino to a certain extent, right? You've got to give managers more than what we're giving them, 18 months, 16 months, 5 months. You've got to give managers more than that. However, do you not understand where the fans' frustrations are coming in? I get that, they wanted Conte out, but the frustration of just the perpetual cycle of seeing shit football, no trophies, I think that's where the frustration comes from. And I think it's going to get less and less, and we're going to see less and less patience for managers because of that.
Yes. Listen, I understand that, but my issue is that listen, tough luck. Like, life is shit. Like, you cannot get whatever you want when you want it, right? It's I'm sorry. Like, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, right? It's like people are. Okay, I will give you this stat, right? Because I just read it before I came on, right? 18-19 season, the season that we were in the Champions League final, right, was the last season in Tottenham where a manager survived the whole season.
Yep.
Like, from September to.
I've been saying that for the whole weekend.
To May, right? Like, it's mad. Like, Poch got sacked mid-season, then Mourinho came, finished the season, got sacked in March. Then Mason came, got sacked. Nuno came, got sacked. Conte came, and he didn't finish this season, right? None of these managers survived the full season. How can this fan base expect success if a manager is sacked whenever anything goes wrong? And why they are sacked? Because we as fans are booing, we as fans are moaning, we as fans are little bitches who don't know how to handle, like, not getting our way, right? And it's so surprising for me, because I don't know how, like, to what I should attribute that that behavior of our fan base, right? Because it's not only our fan base, in my opinion. Majority of fan bases are actually really impatient, if you think about it, right? I for example subscribe to the idea that if Arteta was doing the way he was doing at Arsenal in like 2 of those seasons where he finished 8th, and fans were there in the stadium to witness that, he wouldn't survive it, right? Because everyone would be bitching and moaning and and saying Arteta out, like they were online, right? But the sales of the tickets, the sales in the stadium weren't hit by it, because there were no fans in the stadium, right? So Arsenal could actually survive through that period, and right now they are reaping the rewards. As you said, it's been proven time and time again in this league itself that if you stick to a project manager or if you stick long enough with a manager, because you will reap successes, you will reap the rewards, right? So listen,
Let me ask
I want
to just quickly, Michael, because look, I'm one where I personally don't agree with blaming the fans. I understand we do have to show patience on the manager, but I'm one that I don't think going down the route of blaming fans, this, that, and the other is the right thing to do, because why would they get out and support any sort of movement then if they're being sort of blamed for the problem? So when I look at what happened with Arsenal, right, and you were just speaking about it, many fans wanted Arteta gone. Surely it's on the club then to come out and stick by Antonio or by a manager and say, look, regardless whether you want him gone or not, we're continuing on with this project. So it shouldn't always be on the fans, and surely someone inside the club, if they sacked Antonio Conte because of the fans' reactions, I mean, surely they should be, held responsible rather than the fans, because, they're the ones inside the club. They know what's best for the club, right?
I'm not necessarily like putting all the blame on the fans. It's not what I really mean, right? It's just like for me, it's an interesting observation how we, as fans of a team, behave as a group, right? How we react to words said by the manager, etc., right? I personally think if everyone, like, actually survived through that period. I think if Conte was given another summer and we were actually like calm enough to give him a chance, I think that if he was given this upcoming summer, we would see a much better football next season, right?
I
But
agree.
that's just me. I listen. I agree with someone disagrees with me, right? I mean that I'm not necessarily like against disagreeing with this opinion, right? I understand why people would have their concerns, and maybe, as you said, maybe if we had like some other manager that played progressive football and we were in a similar situation, maybe a bit worse, maybe people would have more patience with it, right? But
do you think, just like me is saying here, though, that maybe Antonio Conte nailed his own death sentence with the fans by sort of refusing to sort of sign on the dotted line and commit himself further?
I think it played a huge part, because I also think like many fans would just shut up if he was a manager for the future, right? If we knew that he's there to lead the project for next 2 years, I think like many fans would actually like suffer through it. So again, like as I said at the beginning, I'm not going to cry over Conte getting sacked. I think I've stated this like here on this channel plenty of times. I'm not going to cry. I just feel like the pragmatic thing would be nice to stick with him.
I agree.
And listen, because because it won't happen, right? 99.9% it won't happen. That's why I think we just like this season was a write-off already, but we seriously have to write it off right now. And I just hope that the club actually like pulls their shit together and appoint a manager and stick with him, whoever it is, right? I for example wouldn't be necessarily against like appointing a younger manager, but who
Just
plays
quickly,
similar.
Mike, before we go into maybe what sort of direction you want to go in next, Ribsy says, we've got this on the super chat. Ribsy says, so what went wrong anyway? Really, we finished the season so strong last season. Players seemed on board. Conte seemed proud. And after preseason, they all seemed grumpy. Then it never got better. So where do you think it went wrong?
It's hard for me to like pinpoint. I think that the situation we are in right now cannot be like attributed to one thing happening, right? I don't think it's like one reason why we are here, right? I think it's like many reasons. I think it's like bad results against good oppositions, so like losing both times to Arsenal, losing to Liverpool at home, losing to United the way we did, losing to Newcastle at home, right? Those reasons. Then I think Arsenal doing as great as they are doing is another reason, because they finished below us last season and right now they are 8 points clear on the top of the table, right? So that's another reason. I think yet another reason is the contract situation. Yet another reason is the Kane situation. Yet another reason is the type of football that we played. And another reason is maybe that there were some like some quarrels between players and management, because I don't think like every player was behind Conte's back, and it's really hard for a manager to like bring everyone together and for every single player to be like on his to be with him, right? But again, if you can spin it the other way, like vast majority of managers are allowed to clear the squad from players that they don't want to be that they don't want those players to be there, right? So like if you look at Pochettino, after I think like 2 seasons, there were like 2 to 3 players left from the squad that he originally got, right? Klopp's case, I think only Henderson and who else? Henderson and one other player, I think, is there from the squad that he inherited, right? But let's not look at Man City possibly. But Arteta, I think only Saka and one other player is there from the original team that he inherited, right? So I feel like it's just this. It's another reason. I think because of how well we finished the last season, I think it just like gave people faith that we will actually do something mad this season, which I'm not really sure what people base that on, because me and you, we both said in like July last year, this defense is absolutely fucking shit, that we are going to suffer because of it. And I've said, and we both said it plenty of times, like this defense just had a purple patch for like 3 months, and they like soaped everyone's eyes. Sorry, that's not the saying in English. So that's in Polish. I just translated it.
Go with the Polish saying.
You know what I mean, right? So they just basically like deceived everyone, and I think they also deceived like Conte and our club. But then again, like, should we blame the club and Conte for trusting those players, right? So it's such a complicated and and tough situation to decipher, right? It's so hard to, as I said, I'm not capable of pointing like to one reason why it all went to shit, right? So listen, as I said, I'm on one hand pissed off with how the situation unfolded. I'm extremely sad that it unfolded that way, because again, I feel like if he was given a proper chance by fans, by board, and by players, I think we could actually do something like really nice next season, right? If he was given those two defenders that we are all speaking about, and if he was given a left like Udoji and maybe Reguilon came back, and if he was given an attacking midfielder and a goalkeeper, 4 signings, right? 4 signings, and I think this team would be set. Maybe like the bench wouldn't be perfect, but I think then you can work on bench in the next two windows, right? And suddenly you have a brilliant team playing under this manager the way he wants, and the philosophy is instilled, etc., right? So that's why I said, unfortunately, it won't happen. But again, what I want to stress is I want us to bring a manager and stick with this manager, and I actually wouldn't be necessarily against like bringing in manager who plays a similar system to Conte's, but maybe more like expansion, like more expansive, right? So one name that came to my mind, and I don't think many people are speaking about it, is Ruben Amorim from Sporting. I know it's not a brilliant name. I know it's not like something flashy that will bring eyes and unite the fan base maybe at the beginning or whatever, right? I just feel like he plays similar system to Conte, but it's way more expansive because of the profile of players that he has, right? But he plays a more expansive version of a 3-4-3, and again, that subscribes to my idea of kind of like continuing the process in a sense, right? But I just don't want us to flip it like on its head again and go for like Enrique. As I said, I feel like 3 players at best that this team can play Enrique football, right? So I just want us to like have a plan, basically. Like I've said it plenty of times. I want us to have a plan, and if it's under another manager's like tenureship, I'm not against it, right?
I like your idea about sort of continuing on sort of what we're starting to build under Conte, because I think if you do switch to someone who wants to go to a back 4 and play a different way altogether, I do believe you're going to add to your shopping list in terms of it's not just going to be a goalkeeper, centre backs, and maybe a left wing back or creative mid. He's probably going to want someone different in the midfield. He might want someone different up in the forward areas, and it's more money you have to sort of throw on it. And for me, I don't think it really makes sense, because I agree with you, Michael. I think you upgrade that back line. I think you upgrade a goalkeeper who can play the modern sort of way. With ultimately, his job is to shot stops, but it would help if he was good on the ball as well and a decent passer range. Sort of get that left wing back sorted out, because it has been our Achilles heels this year. If you look at last season compared to this season, like you said, Michael, we sort of got 3 good months out of Dyer, Davies. I'd even throw Sanchez in there when he had to step in, right?
Yeah, actually, he was kind of solid.
This season, it's completely fell off a cliff. We've conceded more than 2 goals in 17 games this season. So 17.
That's such a mad stat, by the way. 17 games, 2 or more goals. Like give me an example of another team that did that. I would be hard pressed to find another team.
Most inside the top 10. We've conceded the most goals inside the top 10. I'm doing a video on the defense at the minute, and I've got loads of stats there. I've got loads of sort of anomalies from before. And when I look at what we have this season compared to Pochettino, I think I'm happy enough with the midfield. Yeah, you could bring in a creative midfielder.
So
I'm happy enough with the forward line. Yeah, you probably need one more. But my biggest problem is the goals. And if you can't keep them out, you never have a chance of winning. under Pochettino, everyone wants to get back to that. But the reality is, at the heartbone of that, we had world-class defenders across that back line. We had a world-class goalkeeper. And we need to get back to that for any manager to succeed. For instance, Antonio Conte, before he arrived here, I think his team conceded, 30? I think it was only 32 goals in 38 games or something like that. The year he won the Serie A. This season, we've conceded 40, and we have 10 more games to fucking go. You know what I mean? And that's the biggest difference for me. And it's got to be improved, or no manager really has a chance to succeed at this football club. Michael Dermott from THFC Till I Die says, for anyone who blames the fan base, that's so not right. It's not the fans' fault if Dyer and Cole can't play. And he says, Dave, check your email. Dermot, I'll check it after I finish the fan show, my man. So I will. But look, I think maybe he's alluding to when you were saying maybe, the fans need to show patience and it's their fault that, well, not that it's their fault that didn't work out on the content, but that basically that they need to show patience. Maybe you want to clarify what you were saying just again?
Yeah, so again, I'm not like putting all blame on the fan base, right? As I said, I think it's like many reasons why it turned out that way. I tried to like list them, and I think there is plenty more that I forgot about, right? But I think what maybe I wanted to say is that if we were more patient as a fan base, right? If we actually like had the cojones to survive through that that period, through that bad period, right? And actually like give Conte some of our faith, right? I think it could have been well. It could have ended up well, right? And I think I don't. Again, it will sound as if I'm like blaming fan base, but I think we kind of gave permission for our ownership to sack Conte as fan base, right? Because if they had like fights between them, Conte and our
easier,
ownership, right? Yeah. If Conte and our ownership had like fights and they didn't really like agree on a plan, but we as fan base were like diehard Conte, singing his name, Italian flag. Yeah.
I think everyone's saying we're gone. We're not even on stream anymore. It says we're live. The numbers have dropped completely. Everyone's saying they're lagging and they can't see us. Some people are saying YouTube are down. I don't even know what's going on. Everyone's saying I'm just going to go into the stream on YouTube for a second, just see.
Yeah, I just did it myself, and
are we gone?
Yeah, the stream is there for me.
Yeah, but can you see us on it?
Oh, you are back, guys. You are back. Dave, you are back.
Okay, we're back.
I think it's okay. Yeah. So, what were we on about?
I don't know. I've just seen people say they can't hear us. No, we were on about you were on about addressing Dermot's super chat fans and saying that I think sort of the pressure makes it easier to sack Conte.
Yeah, I think we kind of, again, I'm not blaming the fan base, but I think like if we were like diehard behind Conte's back and actually supporting him and whatever, I think it would be really tough for our ownership to point the finger at him, and we kind of did it ourselves. We pointed the finger at Conte, and ownership is like, okay, you don't want him here, he is gone, right? And they have a problem of their heads, right? Because Conte was, I bet you Conte was like going livid, like behind the scenes, right? So. Yeah, and quickly, I just want to like go to my favorite defender, fucking Dyer, piece of trash.
Making a video?
Oh my god, I swear, if I was that fan wearing that shirt and he laughed at he laughed in that situation, I would go at him. And listen, he's bigger than me. He's stronger than me. He is an athlete. Probably if I went into a scrap with him, he would probably kick my ass, right? Let's be honest about it. But still, first punch would be mine. I swear to you, first punch would be mine because he wouldn't expect it. Because that's disgraceful for me. That kind of behavior as a like starting defender of your club, and you are laughing because you didn't win a single trophy. Get in the fucking bin. I'm sorry, but like again, plenty of players need to go from this team. And it's going back to Conte. I'm happy that he called them out. I just wish he dropped names. I just wish he said exactly who he's talking about. But of course, that probably won't happen, and he probably won't be given a chance right now if he's going to get sacked in like 2 or 3 days. But again, like as I said, I don't think, because I was saying about like 4 players that we need to bring. Like I don't mean Gvardiol and and Skriniar or whoever, right? I feel like there is that like a whole subset of players who are not 10s, but they are 9s to 7s, like Kulusevski, like Bentancur, like Poro, like other guys like this who we could bring and actually like build a proper team, right? And to get this Bam Dyer, this Bam Davies, Lenglet, other players, get them out of the club, bring fresh blood in with like their mindset on achieving something, and I think it would really like bring this club glory, right? So because I've been going on for a long time and I know that you have other guests, so probably like my closing
I've
thoughts.
enjoyed this conversation, my man. I've enjoyed it.
Oh, listen, I can talk for longer, right? But I guess the people in the bucket will get a bit pissed off with me.
I appreciate that. So look, any sort of final messages then? Any final words for the fan base out there?
I think, listen, there is 2 weeks break right now. I actually like I think it might be good because it will give people time to like process what happened and whether the whole like Conte thing is true or not, because we actually don't know if he's sacked yet, right? But he probably is, right? But we don't know for sure. So if he gets sacked in a couple of days, we'll have 2 weeks to like properly process it. And listen, Mason in, up the Spurs and whatever, right? But but yeah, like again, I just want our club to give a manager, whoever it is, a chance, right? To give them like proper 3 years and actually back their idea. Again, it doesn't have to be Gvardiol, like fucking Messi, Regents or whatever, right? It doesn't have to be like that. I think if you stick to a plan, you give a manager the tools that he needs to succeed, I think we can succeed. And again, I don't see Spurs winning quadruples or whatever, right? But I want us to win an FA Cup or a Carabao. I want us to fight. I want us to participate. I want to see fire in the hearts and eyes. As Conte said, I want to see passion in this team, right? Because right now I'm not seeing this, right? Like that Southampton game, it was shit. It was absolute, like you could see that they crumbled. You could see in their eyes that they actually gave up. And that's the worst part for me, right? That's the worst offense that a team can do for a fan, is to give up on the pitch, right? Because we all say it. If I was there on the pitch, I would give it my all, right? Because I'm a diehard fan of this club. So would you, so would others, so would all the callers that you will talk with and you talked already with, right? And listen, we don't have the skill, but we would have a passion at least, right? So yeah, that's what I want to see. I want us to continue with rebuilding this team. I wish that we sell Dyer, Davies, and Bums alike in the summer, and I wish that we stick with a manager. And yeah, but that's basically it, right? So yeah, again, sad that Conte got sacked, but not really like down over it, right? It's not that I'm like,
Yeah, do you know what it is? I am down about sort of being here again. I'm just down about here being again. But I think you're spot on. I think with the message, I think like I've said, look, I've stressed this many times. I've heard you say it before, Michael, as well. At some stage you've got to give a manager a chance to succeed. You just got to, and you got to stick it out longer than 1 season and a half. You got to give it 2, 3 sort of seasons before you see really any sort of what would I say? Before you see the fruits of the labor, really, I think it's probably the best way of putting it. But Michael, big yourself up, my man. Really enjoyed that conversation. Hopefully you feel better after getting a lot off your chest, brother.
Yeah. I needed it, and I'm honestly happy that I didn't like go into rage mode, because like seriously, the whole like Spurs situation has been having me like on the edge, and I don't know if you watched it, but after Milan game on We Are Tottenham TV, I absolutely went fucking nuts because I was sick. That game literally made me sick, and I even said some words that I was kind of embarrassed that I did. But it's just how football works. Like
We've all done
it's
it,
an
man.
emotional sport, right? So I'm happy that we could actually like have a civilized conversation about it. So
Oh, do you
you
know
know,
what, though, Michael? I wish some of these players would look at some of these channels and see how the fans feel. See, what some of the performances, how it makes the fans feel, how angry they get. And it might actually, spur them on to do a little bit better. Look, I've done it many times myself. So fair play to you, my man, and we'll speak again soon, Michael.
speak again soon. Bye.
Big up.
Cheers.
See you soon, Michael. Bye-bye. Everyone, big up Michael in the comments. Michael. I really enjoyed that conversation. I think he's spot on with a lot of what he says. Dermot with a super chat says, for the information I have currently, he will be sacked within the next 24 to 48 hours. However, Daniel may have pulled the trigger earlier than expected, as I believe they have reached a full agreement with the replacement today. Interesting. Dermot, let me know, if they said who the replacement was or any idea. But very, very interesting. Look, Conte will be gone. I think they're probably just in the middle of sorting out formalities, severance packages and stuff like that. He's basically sacked. What I don't like is just come out and say it's done with rather than in the next 24, 48 hours. Just come out and say it's done with. Be decisive on something. So Dermot reckons that it won't be Mason in charge. Very interesting. We'll have to ask him about that when he comes on the show. So look, big up Dermot, my man. Really appreciate the support and really appreciate the information, my man. Big yourself up. We've got Ellie. She says, we wrote failure. I pulled on the shirt for the Spurs ladies and was proud to play for Spurs. We need to play with desire, heart, passion, and success will come. I mean, Ellie, you know as well as I do, that having winners, heart, desire, passion, pride, all the sort of breeds a winning culture. It's what you need for a winning culture, and we're far from that at the minute, which is very, very concerning. But big yourself up, Ellie. You're absolutely spot on. But look, we're going to keep this show on the road. Next, we have the one and only Brad Matthews. Brad, how are you keeping, my man?
Well, it's very very grey, isn't it, at the moment? It's sort of it's a very sort of a low point, considering all the optimism I personally had at the start of the season, and suddenly it's disappeared. I can't put my finger on it.
You're not sick of this though, Brad. Every season, we go into it, hopes, high expectations, wanting to see committed team out there. But ultimately, around this time too often we feel let down and we're angry.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the start of the season with the transfer window, we got the first signing in quickly. We were signing players that would be ready for pre-season. And I thought, things have changed. But I guess, I should have known better. That, I mean, the players we got in, if you take away the money and how they played, I was fairly optimistic. I thought, we didn't get a central defender, which I thought we desperately needed. Yeah, but we've got some fairly decent players in, and I thought, okay, that's promising.
Let me ask you, do you think not getting in that centre back is what's killed Antonio Conte's job at Tottenham and maybe killed us this season? Do you think there are some repercussions of that? Yeah,
because I think when you look, we remember last season, the last 11 or 12 games, we were playing pretty exciting football, really. Okay, it was a bit counter-attacking, but we were playing good, playing football and scoring lots and lots of goals. But that was going along with our defence that had improved at that stage, that stage of the season. This season, it's been totally the opposite. And I think when you've got a back three that you just can't rely on, then you're very less inclined to be gung-ho in your attacking football, whether that be the players on the pitch or whether it be the manager telling them to be that way. So I think the two central defenders is a must, because once you've got that, if you look back at the and I don't like going back to the Poch era, but that's when I saw my favourite ever Spurs team. You could rely on your two central defenders. You had Rose and Walker as very attacking but reliable wing backs, full backs, whatever you want to call them. But you also had someone like Wanyama who would step back into a back three when the two full backs attacked. And you had Dembele who could also keep the ball if he got it. So that gave the attacking 3 or 4 players the confidence to attack. And I don't think we've had that confidence this season to do it. So I think it's a bit down to Conte not being able to trust his defence, and also probably down to the players. But at the end of the day, you know, I've seen a stat. Now I know that it probably includes some pretty meaningless trophies, but the managers that that ENIC have employed in 10 years, or 10 managers, permanent managers, before and after managing Spurs, they've won 61 trophies among themselves, and in those 10 managers in the 20 odd years at Tottenham have won one. You know, so I think that says it all, and I think Saturday was the breaking point, basically. And I've seen a lot of people saying, "No, we shouldn't have said that." He basically said, "When you can't tell me that when that final whistle went on Saturday, every single one of us was probably saying the things that Conte said in that press conference."
Exactly.
And don't give me this. Oh, you shouldn't say it on TV and put the players on the bus. Oh, sorry, I don't feel sorry for these professional footballers who get paid tons of money to do something that we would do for nothing. So no, I have no problems with him, what he said on Saturday. He sort of backtracked by telling the board, "Oh, I wasn't really talking about you," but yeah, he was. I think he was sort of saying that, and I think the writing was on the wall then. I've never been one of these Conte out, because I generally believed if he got his team with players that he wanted and a back three he could rely on, that we would play good attacking football like he did at Inter Milan, like he did at Chelsea. But unfortunately,
Brad, you know, it was football that we enjoyed at the back end of last season as well, though. You know, we got to remember we did enjoy that football.
That's what I'm saying, and I think it's because the defence in those 10 games or whatever it was improved dramatically, and he was confident enough that we could play that attacking football and push up and do all that sort of stuff. Whereas this season, the other thing I think that's happened is I think other clubs have basically found us out a bit, and they know how to play us now. They know how we're going to play, and I think tactically we're not that flexible. And so they think, hang on, this is how they played for 10 or 11 games last season. They scored all these goals. This is how we stop them. And I think that's probably why you're seeing the Son Kane partnership not as being as effective as it was. You know, I think that's another reason. But it's just a bit depressing. I'm not one of the people that want Conte out. Possibly going to be the same people that wanted Poch out. Let's face it. The last sort of 6-7 months of Poch's time at Tottenham, a lot of people were saying Poch out. You know, and and I think that's probably the biggest mistake this club ever made was sacking Pochettino and not backing him either. If they'd have kept him, they should have backed him as well, because he knew they gave him the chance. When Pochettino was first at Tottenham, he got that season, didn't he? They gave him a chance to build things. He got rid of the players that didn't want to play his system, didn't fit. He got rid of all those. That first season, by the end of the season, it was starting to get there, and then we had the great times, and then that club the players reached that top that they could, and he knew that they had to replace them or start replacing them, and they never did. And it was just inevitable that team after the Champions League final was going to go downhill, and that's what happened. And then, you know, trigger happy Levy, you know, pulls the trigger and Pochettino's gone. And you only have to look at, and I hate looking at Arsenal, but they stuck with Arteta and allowed him to do what he wanted to do, and look where they are now. So yeah, it's
one big mess. But one thing, you know, I think should be obvious to everybody now is that we need to stick by a manager for longer than a season and a half. You got to give him 2-3 seasons, you know, to try and build something, to try and fully rid some you know, the players out here like Conte was alluding to, that don't have that winning culture, that don't really care about winning, that won't do everything to win, you know. So, because look, regardless of Conte's tactics at the weekend, if them players wanted to win, we should have seen a lot more moving around and movement within that tactic. They stood there and they were passed around.
Yeah, you know, a lot of people have said, even on Match of the Day, said, "Oh, why did we were attacking with 3 up? Why did we go back to 5-4-1?" Well, hang on a minute. We're playing the team bottom of the Premiership, hadn't scored over 2 goals in all of their Premier League games at home, and we're sitting in third. You know, they should be good enough to hold Southampton out for 15, 16 minutes. Yeah, okay. You can argue if we'd have pressed, we might have scored more, but that's beside the point. They should have been able to have seen out that game, and the fact that the 2 goals that we conceded just after half time. So we held that lead for about 2 or 3 minutes, if that. And the goal after we went 3-1 up, we conceded a goal early. And I've seen, look, you know me, I don't like having to go at players, but I've seen the defending by Dyer for that goal that got them back in, the Walcott goal. You know, and he's, you know, what you'd say, you're 3-1 up, you say, okay, keep them out for 5, 6, 7 minutes, and then that's it. You know, you've got the game. Mark your players, mate. Don't give them anything at all. You know, we're going back to a back 5-4-1. Mark them out. What happens? The ball goes across. Dyer, for some unknown reason, goes back onto the goal line where he's also already got Forster and Kaner there. The ball comes over to a totally unmarked Walcott, and it's 3-2. Suddenly, Tottenham's head saying, "Oh shit, we're in trouble again," you know. And it was
Dyer that dropped to the line. It was Dyer that left.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. He for some, I mean, it was some absolutely atrocious defending for a professional footballer, and they must be trained in how to, you know, defend a lead. And it was just really, you know, and you know, the thing about it was so awful that we let that lead slip, that no one's talking about the VAR and the penalty that was given. That was,
but you know
no
what?
idea what was a penalty, you know, but it doesn't matter.
I think it was disgraceful, but we shouldn't have been putting ourselves in that position.
Exactly. That should never have got to that situation, you know. So no, and so when Conte came out and had a go at the players, and another thing that people seem to haven't picked up on, and if you haven't seen it, you must watch the whole 10 minutes. If you watch the whole 10 minutes, it's amazing. Was that they said, "Oh, do you think that your situation at the club is, you know, that no one knows what you're going to do?" Blah blah blah. And he goes, "No," he said, "Look, stop trying to defend the players. You're always trying to find an excuse for the players," and that's what they were doing. And he just came out. At the end of the day, he's a football fan, and he came out and said what we were all saying when that final whistle went. You know, it's just a sad situation. Now, as for, I don't know a lot about these managers that everyone's going on about. I can't see the Brighton manager. He's only just started at Brighton. I'm not sure about the Scottish guy, who's Australian guy, isn't he? Funny enough. It's all very well saying he plays lovely attacking football with Celtic. That may be the case, but it's a Scottish league. You know, you can afford to play attacking football in the Scottish Premier League because unless you play, say, Rangers, you know that you're not going to have much problem from the falls of all the other teams. So you can play, you know, so it's a big jump from the Scottish Premier to the English Premier League. So I'm not so sure about that. Enrique's an interesting one. The Pochettino situation, I wouldn't be totally against it. Don't get me wrong. My heart says, yeah, you know, the romantic in me says, yeah, it'd be lovely to have him back, you know, to finish what he was there for. But he's got to deal with the board again. He's got the same players that are there when they sacked him. He's got 9 players out on loan. They've got to get rid of those. You know, he's got a completely different setup there. You know, Paratici, Director, and all these other people that have been employed. It's not going to be easy. So I think that, although the romantic in me would love to see him back, I'm not so sure it would work.
I agree.
You know, that said, you know, what can we do about it? What, you know, whoever they bring in, I would say that, you know, a lot of people said about Conte, he never said it's never him. It's always everyone else. Well, actually, the owners and the board, it's never their fault, you know.
True.
Yeah, when we ask them questions like
the players.
Yeah. When the trust asks them questions, they say, "Oh, well, we're giving you European football for 17 years or whatever it is." So hang on a minute, you know, and that's the whole thing. You want to win things. You don't want to. Great European football, wonderful. Have we won anything? No, we haven't. And that's where, you know, that's where it all sort of, you know, that's where they have to take a lot of the blame. Any other company that had, you know, 1 trophy in 20 years, their CEO would be well out the door by now, you know. So
for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Look, you know, we'll wait and see. Hopefully over the next couple of days we'll see what sort of direction we're going in. But Brad, Blue Sofa Songs, what's going on over there, my man?
Right, there's I didn't get a chance to say this last week because we didn't have the fan show, but there's a song on there at the moment called Community, which is a song about you guys, about the community that we're all involved in. It's just really, you know, saying how good it is, you know, that sort of thing. It's a long song. It's 5 minutes long. I tried to get like a Hey Jude feel with the chorus for the last sort of 2 minutes of the song and build it up, put track to track. So give it a listen. It didn't come out exactly how I wanted it, but I think there's a decent song there. There'll be a new song out this Friday, but yeah, it's just me trying to make sense of the world by writing songs.
Lovely.
So yeah, if you haven't already, get over there. Give me views. I'm desperate for views. The views are going down. I need more views, more likes. Come on, guys, help me out here.
Well, what I would say to people is that song is about the community in general, and that includes all you guys out there.
It is. It's about you guys. Yeah, definitely.
Everything that everyone does. So the link is here. Please get over to Blue Sofa Songs, check it out, and give Brad the support he deserves.
Yes, David.
Brad, my man, been a pleasure.
No problem, as always. And look, it was great seeing you guys the other week. Absolutely, I can't believe it's 2 weeks have flown by.
It's madness.
It's absolutely brilliant seeing you guys. I literally had to have last week to recover, not doing anything for the whole week because, it was like Tuesday night, Wednesday night, and I know you'd already gone back, but Saturday as well. And it was like, oh, gee, it's, so it's absolutely brilliant seeing you guys, and hopefully you'll be able to get over again. No, I really enjoyed that, and hopefully, maybe, who knows, maybe I might come over to Ireland at some stage.
That'd be nice if you're ever over here, though, Brad. Let me know, and it will look.
Oh, I will definitely, without a doubt, and I'll have you St. Patrick's Day for Friday. And I did actually. I know it's a bit cliche, but I got some Guinnesses in for that weekend. But yeah, don't forget, guys, if you're watching this, to click like and subscribe to these guys as well. They do a lot of good stuff, and I hope Jack's all right. I saw him; he left. Is he okay?
Yeah. I think he's all right. I think he had computer troubles and stuff like that. It was.
Oh, okay, fair enough. But yeah, no, it's great to see you guys, and yeah, keep up the good work. And
I appreciate
I'll say it with a little less enthusiasm, but come on, you Spurs!
Come on, you Spurs! Brad, as always, a pleasure, my man, and we'll see you again soon, brother.
Cheers, David.
Big up, Brad. See you soon, my man. See you soon. Another great call in from Brad. Make sure you get over and check out his song about our community over at Blue Sofa Songs. He's been a stalwart of the Irish Hotspur for quite some time, so please get over there and show him the support and love he deserves. But look, we're going to keep this going. We're going to kick on. We've got KPV next. KPV, how are you keeping, my man?
Not great after the weekend, but okay. I went out for a friend's birthday Saturday, so didn't watch the game, but I'm glad I didn't, because Perisic and Porro first goals for Spurs, finally came, a stunner from, what do we call Porro nowadays? What do we call him?
The Porronator.
The Porronator, yeah. Great goal from him. And I saw the thing you were playing, Dyer laughing with the guy that the Irish Catherine Kane met, I think it was, pre-season, the summer last year, and I don't like him laughing. Dyer laughing, that really annoys me. Get him gone, man. Poch didn't want him when he was there for his last season after final. Poch bought him, man. Get him out the club, dude. I don't know which defenders we had before Dyer came. Must have had. Get rid of him, man. Should not have sold Tripp and Carl Walker. They were the two great players. But after the final season at the Old White Hart Lane, there was rumours going around that one of our fullbacks was leaving, and it was Carl Walker. I'm a bit shocked that he left, because we knew he had a bad performance against Palace before that North London derby, and yeah, he probably deserved to be on the bench, but should have restarted against the
What do you make of the current situation, though, KPV? When it comes to Conte, look, he's basically sacked. He'll be gone in the next 24 to 48 hours. I mean, what do you make of the whole situation with Antonio Conte?
I agree with some of it, but not all of it. He didn't call out the board. Apparently, it was just to the players. Players. He's been angry, and I don't blame the guy. I didn't want him in the first place. He wants to go back to Italy because family problems happening over there. So goodbye, kid. Who's going to be the replacement? I hope it's the person who said he has unfinished business, but I know some people don't want him back, but some of the fans do. 90% of fans want him back, which,
Would you take him back, KPV? Do you think he's the right man to come back in charge?
I'd probably say he is. I liked what he said. I think it was a few years ago I'd rather work on a farm than manage Arsenal. Good man.
Yeah.
I love that. And he doesn't like him. Like, he's Tottenham through and through, and I loved him. I did. When he came before, he beat Liverpool 2 times at Southampton. They were twice in 2013, just when United won the title, and then City won it the year later. Like, he likes beating some big teams, but like during the season where we reached the Champions League final, we didn't do we beat Chelsea and Man United, but at home against Chelsea and away at Old Trafford, we lost a few big games. Like West Ham, we won away, and then they come to our new stadium and win. Like, I don't know what that celebration is from Antonio. Like, come on, man, don't start doing that, because none of us like it.
He took that there, didn't he, KPV?
Yeah, he done that to Liverpool as well. Like, there were Leicester and West Ham stopped them from winning the league like we did last season. So, but yeah, I think he's the man that can take us forward. But as I've been saying it with Danny and Brian for the last few months, the same thing's gonna happen again. But hopefully not.
You don't see anything changing with a new manager going in maybe a new direction. You don't envisage too much change at all. Not why.
I hope it is, but I don't think so. Like, yeah, get rid of the Deadwood players. He got rid of Soldado, Adebayor, and Kabul, and other players. Like, get rid of Dyer, Sanchez, and Davis. But who are we gonna have as left wing back? Like, Perisic wants to go back to Inter, so who are we gonna get? Like, are there any left wing backs who people want? Let me know in the chat. And yeah, who do you want to replace Davis? Because Poch is the one who actually bought him, and like, I don't want Davis because people already don't know this, but he actually won a Carling Cup with Swansea, and he knocked Chelsea out at Stamford Bridge, and he won it. So people are calling him a loser. He's already won a trophy. That was with the relegation team, Swansea, who we have always beaten, but players like that. So he's won one. Højbjerg and Perisic, Champions League with Bayern Munich, but that was under different managers. I don't think that was under Pep. That was under the old managers. But yeah, I think Poch is the right man. But hopefully Daniel Levy won't make a big mistake like he did getting rid of him.
Do you think his job should be reviewed, KPV? Because you can't keep blaming the manager. You know, 3 different managers, the same result. So, do you think that that Daniel Levy's job needs to be reviewed? And also, would you change the captain at this football club as well? Because other things have to change other than just the manager.
Yeah, I'd change the captain, and it's Zinedine Salzburg. Yeah, or who else is it? Romero, maybe. I know a few people say he'd be great, but I'd go for Zinedine Salzburg captain. Like, I think he's the captain of Denmark, but it's not him, it's the Eriksson. But yeah, I say Zinedine Salzburg captain. Like, why is the goalkeeper Lloris the captain where he's cost us stuff? And yeah, he has been costing us points this season, like old goalkeepers have, apart from Gazzaniga and Paul Robertson. Like, Paul Robertson scored a few goals against Watford, and Ben and Sim asked him, "Sure you didn't mean it, right?" I could tell you I loved it. And he's brilliant. But yeah, like, I know people probably don't like me, but Gazzaniga's probably more better than other old keepers like Forster. But I know he was at Southampton when a decade ago and he actually started his career at Gillingham. And there's a place in Argentina named after him, Gazzaniga. So Ellie or Mia, I know you'd want him back, but David doesn't. So I probably don't, but I would, because he made 14 saves at Anfield when Liverpool won the title, and I believe 14 saves. And
there's no way he's coming back, KPV. No way whatsoever. He's done.
And I want to say something. I did not say I wanted AVB back. I did not say that because that's from a fake Twitter account, Slow Sports News. So I don't know why that person tweeting. Like, I did not say I wanted him back. I just don't want him back because, like, when he was there, like, yeah, we were smacking teams apart. Like, we handed the title to Man United because City wanted to retain it, but we handed it to United after he beat City to end the title hopes. And Bale and Dempsey and Defoe scored. So great players. And I just watched the Chase Celebrity and Glenn Hoddle was on it.
Look, if only we had someone like Glenn Hoddle's ability still at this club, we wouldn't be going too far on KPV. But look, KPV, my man, I may keep this moving.
Yeah.
Hopefully next time we're speaking, we have a manager in the dugout. We know exactly what direction we're going in. That would be nice. But look, any final word to the Spurs fan base before we end off?
Yeah, Spurs fan, just do play FIFA if you want. I already am, and I've got Ledley King hero card and Robbie Keane. So get ready, Dave. You're going for a battering. I still want to play Sim. We haven't had our match yet, so Ben doesn't play. So Sim, I know you're watching this, my man. Bring it on, man. I want a game. I haven't played it. So, but have a good week, everyone, and hopefully it will be Poch because that's what Extra and Max's dad wants to see on Sky Sports News. And hopefully people like Dermot will let us know in the WhatsApp group, who's it going to be, and I'll check. But I'm off to listen. Who let the dogs out? Who let the jabronis out? But who let the jabronis out? Ellie did. Speak well soon, Ellie, and we'll speak soon.
Well, KPV, we'll speak to you again soon, my man. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Big up KPV. See you soon, brother. See you soon. Everybody give KPV the loves he deserves. Regardless of what's going on, he's always spitting stats, facts, and smiling. Absolutely love that dude. We will keep tipping on. Tyler, are you there, my man? Yes, he is. Big up, Tyler. How are you keeping, brother?
I'm actually not doing too bad because the college basketball is going on right now and my Miami Hurricanes are winning. So
that's something else to keep you occupied.
So that's got me very excited. But now, listening and talking about Spurs again, it's definitely brought my mood down a little bit. But you gotta
So where are you at? Where are you at with everything that's going on? Do you agree what Conte said after the Southampton game? Do you agree with him being sacked? And who do you want in next?
Yeah, no, I completely agree with Conte. Pretty much everything he had to say. I think at this point he has a right to, talk about the players, and I think he was talking about the owners. He just tried to save himself maybe at the end. But coming out and saying it wasn't a go at them, but I think it was pretty clear when he said 20 years of the same, I think it was clear what he was saying. But, yeah.
What players do you think he was talking about? Do you think he was talking about the whole squad in general, or do you think he was talking about pockets of players, a select few?
I don't know. I mean, I think he's pretty much given up on everybody at this point, it looks like. For him saying all 11 being selfish, and I don't know. I mean, maybe he just wasn't trying to single out players, so he just said the whole team basically. But I think we clearly the main people that constantly let us down and never show any bit of passion or anything playing on the pitch. Rarely, 80% of the time, you can tell they truly don't care that much to win.
Yeah. We've got a huge problem in terms of the squad and people not really caring too much. And look, with what Antonio Conte came out and said, I think it was inevitable that you have to get rid of the guy.
Yeah.
Just quickly, I forgot. We've got CDC 1205 says, Dave, who would you choose as next full-time manager? Look, for me, I mean, I would like to go down someone with more of an attacking route. I think maybe an Amorim, Pochettino, even though I'm a bit dubious over it. they would probably, maybe a Tuchel, they'd probably be my top 3, my man. Let me know who you want in the CDC. And J. Cole says, not getting centre-backs and playing Perisic killed Conte. Tyler, would you agree with J. Cole here that, the left-hand side and maybe the centre-backs have absolutely, killed this season and killed Antonio Conte?
I mean, yeah, Perisic has just he's been absolutely useless defensively. And, some of his crosses are wayward, but he has put in a lot of good chances. And we've also missed chances, and he's gotten, how many assists does he have? He's our leading assister now.
Yeah, I think he's got 8 or 9, doesn't he?
Yeah, so we not getting a center back was absolutely mind-blowing to me. Anybody, even like a kid, like literally anybody, like the fact we didn't get anyone is just crazy to me. Langley on loan, but come on.
Yeah, it's and this is the problem. He had players that he wanted, and we didn't get them in. And when results start turning, we start blaming a guy who knew he wanted these positions, sort of improved in the summer. So it's a bit, for me, look, I think it's absolutely killed him. I think it killed Jose Mourinho. I think it killed Pochettino. I think it's killed Nuno. Look, under Pochettino, it was clear that it was aging and coming to an end. But since then, we haven't done enough. We've only spent money on Romero, bringing in Roden and loaning Langley. It's nowhere near enough over the 3 years, with an area that keeps probably throwing up the same problems under different managers. Where do you think it actually went wrong for Antonio Conte, though? Because, look, him not signing the contract probably, put the nail in the coffin in terms of from the fans' perspective, right?
This is what I don't get, right? So first we bring in Mourinho, right? Win now manager, blah, blah, blah. The fans aren't going to have that much patience. You're bringing in a manager. He needs to get his players in immediately. Like we're not doing enough. I know we've made a lot of signings and we've messed up with Ndombele, Lo Celso, Bergwijn, but clearly the defense has been the issue for a while, and we just have not gotten the right players in, and then
it shows the extent of the issues we had, though, right? With all the players gone out on loan, all the positions we filled, and we still have more to do.
And then we bring in Conte, another win now manager, and we got Kulu and Bentaker. I believe obviously that's who he wanted, and look what happened. We completely turned that season around and we got top 4. And then it comes to the summer and we bring in Richarlison for 60 mil. Like, really? That's the big signing we make? We clearly need defenders, and we didn't bring that in, and we didn't win anything. The same players has let us down once again. Not showing passion, not caring, not fully backing the manager. I don't know what happens behind the scenes if he's calling them out all the time. But we need a manager like Conte. And whatever happened, and we got let down once again. And I'm happy he came out and said the truth. I hope he comes out and says even more once he's gone, because we need to hear it.
Yeah, look, I've no doubt this isn't the last we're going to hear from him, Tyler. I think we're going to hear plenty more. He did when he left Chelsea, he sort of did when they left Inter. So I've no doubt this is the last, not the last we're going to hear of this. But look, what players, regardless of what manager we bring in here, what players do you think have to go this summer?
Winks permanent, Ndombele permanent, Lo Celso permanent, Tanganga, Dyer, Sanchez, Sessegnon, Davies. I'm okay with bringing Reguilon back. Perisic probably is going to want to leave, and he has been so bad defensively that he can just go to. Lucas, of course, obviously. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's pretty much that's the most of it. That's a lot of players. That's a lot of
enough there.
Just name half the team.
Madness. That's probably nearly a whole 11 just to go. It's going to be another busy window. Tyler, what direction do you want to see us take next? What sort of manager do you want to see in the door?
You know, we definitely have to have a project guy. You know, if Luis Enrique if he will have the patience and, you know, whether we slowly back him or not, to bring in someone like that and maybe just start playing football like that would be awesome. And if you bring him in, you have to get rid of players like Dyer or Sanchez or whatever, or we're going to get relegated. So I think, you know, that could be a really good change, but you have to get, you know, if you got to get a long-term guy for sure, you know, as much as I hate Arsenal, you have to respect what they've done with Arteta, and look where they're at right now. They don't have that many amazing players, but as a team, they play with passion and they get the job done. Simple as that.
Absolutely spot on, you know. And look, you're right. You know, that's what we want to see. We want to see that togetherness. We want to see that never say die attitude. We want to see that hunger to win. You know, you know, you wonder why they got so many late minute winners this year. Well, that's why. You know, so I agree with you. I think we have to stick by a manager and go down that route. I really do agree with you. Tyler, anything else you want to say to Tottenham fans out there? Anything else you'd like to discuss, my man?
You know, just try to keep your head up. Try to find, you know, other things to get your mind off of it. You know, hopefully, you know, we make changes. Levy and our owners, they hopefully, you know, a screw will click in their head maybe. And if not, hopefully, you know, someone else comes along and buys the club, and hopefully, you know, we can change stuff in the future and we can start winning.
Yeah.
You know, just try to keep your head up.
It's hard. It's hard, Tyler. You know, we're here every time, you know, too many times over the last 3 years, but I agree with you, man. You know, try and keep your head up where you can. Big up, Tyler, my man. Sorry we couldn't speak under better circumstances today.
No worries, you know. It's good to get stuff off your chest at least, you know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, look, anything else you want to talk about or mention before we let you go?
You know, just also that we have to, you know, finally just we have to get rid of a lot of these players, and whether that means, you know, letting Kane go and letting Son go and completely starting over, you know, maybe we have to do that. I know you don't want to hear that. I know you were upset with me a little when I talked about Kane in the group chat. But I think he needs to be a little more of a leader.
Yeah, look, I can understand that. I just think you've got to look at, you know, a guy that scores 20 plus goals every single season.
Oh yeah.
You know, he's sort of not really a problem in my eyes. But look, I don't understand it. But look, you know, if that's what people want, that's what people want, my man. You know, I could get it. Like, people are just fed up with it in general, I suppose, and they just want a complete reset. I just think we're being naive in that. I think Kane is someone would be a lot harder to replace than what people maybe initially think.
Oh, nearly impossible to replace for sure. I mean, Harry Kane, 21 goals this season. You don't hear that much about it because of Holland, but for 21 goals with this team that we have is absolutely incredible. I mean, he deserves so much more. And I think, and it's not that I'm saying Kane's mentality is wrong and he's part of the issue. It's the club has killed him inside. That's what it is. That's what it is. It's the club that have killed him and his whole mentality, I believe now. And I think we just have to, at this point, you know, let him go and hopefully one of these young strikers that we have, because we do have a lot of them in the academy right now and in our system, hopefully, you know, maybe one will turn out half as good as Kane and we'll be lucky to have that. But, you know, we have to let him go eventually, I think, as sad as it is to say.
The inevitable day is coming sooner and sooner and closer, my man. Thanks for sending me to bed with nightmares, Tyler. I appreciate it.
Sorry about that.
No, you're all good, my man. You're all good, Tyler. Really appreciate your time this evening, my man. And look, hopefully the next time we speak, we know exactly where we're going.
Yeah, definitely. Have a good one, man. Have a good one, chat.
Come on, you Spurs. Pick yourself up, Tyler. everyone, show Tyler the love he deserves in the chat. Really like this guy, actually. He has a lot of good things to say, so big up, Tyler. Absolute legend. And now we're on to the last guest of the evening, and it's the one and only Phil. Phil, have you recovered from the illness, my man?
Still trying to shake the chest infection off, mate, to be honest. It's coming to the back end of it now, but it's coming to the end, a bit like Conte, in it, really.
Yeah, what do you make of the whole situation, Phil?
Yeah, I mean, the press conference was, I was actually clapping. I was actually buzzing that he actually come out and said what he said. It's all truth. It's all facts.
Yeah.
I mean, people saying that he shouldn't have come out and said it, in regards to, like, with the players, giving them low in confidence and stuff like that. I believe that they need something like that. They need to be shaken, and they need their heads shaking, man, big time. And to be honest, there's not enough leaders in this squad, mate. That's the biggest problem for me with all these bad results we've had with Poch, with Conte, with Mourinho. All these bad results come down to leaderships and players that actually want to win for the club and want to win trophies for the club, and we haven't got enough of them leaders in the team. And it's there's just a bad vibe within the team. When they lose one, they get their heads down. They can't sustain a run of games where they go on like a 10-15 game winning streak. I haven't seen that with Tottenham for a good while.
But that's the killer, though, isn't it, Phil? When a couple of injuries come into play, or a couple of suspensions, or whatever, even if quick games, we need rotation. As soon as we make them, it kills all momentum, and then that winning feeling is gone, and then you have to try and get it again and restart it. And you're right. When was the last time we've even gone on a 10 game?
I can't remember, mate. Can't remember. I mean, yeah. So, I mean, I'm a little bit surprised. I'm not surprised Conte is going to be sacked, but I'm surprised that, on the other hand, Levy is going to sack him at this crucial stage in the season where we are going for fourth, and it is a risky thing to get rid of Conte, where he is, he has delivered these Champions League spots for us.
Yeah, and
if it's Mason that's going to take over, is he going to be good enough to get us in them Champions League spots? I doubt that, to be honest with you. But if there's an actual replacement for Conte, like a Poch, like an Enrique, someone like that, then maybe they can take over and get us to that fourth spot.
Look, don't get me wrong. I think, when Conte made them had that outburst, it's inevitable you're going to get sacked. I think we all agree, that, you've thrown the players under the bus, you lost the dressing room, you're going to lose your job. But I would like to think, considering the club knew that Antonio Conte wasn't going to be here beyond the end of the season, I'd like to think they already have sort of the direction or the idea, or the manager picked out on who they want to go on after. And I'd rather that manager come in here straight away as soon as possible, rather than sit through Ryan Mason in turn. Because I agree with you. I don't think Mason will get a stop.
No, I very much doubt that. And I think maybe it's been on the cards since we got knocked out of the Champions League game against Milan. I think there was something in motion then with Levy and getting someone in as a replacement. And I think Conte sort of knew that after that game as well, and it's just snowballed from there, really. But like, I don't know, man, it's such a mess at the minute. So many problems at this club, and I don't know, man. It's I don't know where to go from here.
Yeah, look, we'll get on to that now in just 1 second. But Ellie, big up, Ellie Aglea. I'm going to actually have to ring you tomorrow and find out how you pronounce that last name. It's quite exotic. She says, "Sweet dreams, David. No nightmares, son. Go down to the chippy and get yourself your dream chip shop chips." Look, they're well closed now, Ellie. Actually, what day is it? Yeah, Monday. They're well closed now. Look, I'm well fed. The missus made a shepherd's pie from scratch, so that was absolutely unbelievable.
Shepherd's pie, nice, man.
Yeah. So that was really nice. So I'm well stocked up on yellow potatoes today, Ellie. Don't worry about that. But I will have chips tomorrow, of course, for sure. You know me. It's a very rare I go day without chips. Big up, Ellie. And look, hopefully you feel better too. You get a good night's rest under your belt, Ellie, and we'll speak again.
Yeah, we'll see, man.
Tomorrow. So look, what manager do you want in here next? What manager do you think can get this back on the right track and bring us forward? Look, obviously, it relies on recruitment or spending the money to fix the problem areas in the squad. But what manager would you like to see in here next, Phil?
I think I do want Poch back just as a romantic sort of, thing for the club and for the fans. And, I think there is a majority from the fans that they want Poch back in, from what I hear anyway. But I'm swaying more towards an Enrique in my opinion. Trying to change the philosophy of the club, how we play at the minute, bringing his sort of players in, like a Gavi sort of player, in the middle for us. I know we ain't going to get him, but that's that type of mould, just to keep the ball more, keep possession more, and be more attacking. I sort of miss that.
Prowse, would you take someone like a Prowse? Good passing range on him. He could do it from deep. Take set pieces. Good shot on him as well. Provide goals from outside the box. Or would you want someone a bit more technical?
Yeah, I mean, obviously he's got his plus points, in regards to his free kicks, his set pieces, and whatnot. I don't know if he's that agile in the midfield. That nippy sort of player, can take on a man. I don't think he's that type of player. I think he's more of like a playmaker, sitting back and actually, dictating play. I don't think he's like an explosive midfielder. That gets past players and creates, between the lines, into the striker and stuff. So it'd be a good addition for us, but I don't think he's the type of player to take us to that next level. I don't know, man. We need some centre backs in. Let's be honest, we're only like 5 or 6 players away from being challenging for a Premier League title, in my opinion anyway. And they have to be in the right positions, where we need them. If we had a Kim Min-jae, because I think he's perfect for us. I think Kim Min-jae, he's a leader as well. He gives that chemistry with Son. So I think he'd be a great addition going forward. We need some more creativity, I believe. It's a little bit samey in the midfield, side to side. So I think we need a bit of creativity in there just to mix it up a bit.
Do you reckon that's from instructions though, or do you reckon and then maybe they're being held back a little? Because look, with Antonio Conte, the centre midfield role, it is very sort of specialised and it is wing back sort of orientated. So I'm thinking maybe the instruction is when they do get the ball, just get it out to the sides.
Get it out wide. Yeah. I believe that's what they're being told to do. And I think player like Basuma, I think he's being restricted, when he was playing, because he likes to get forward a little bit more and start to create a little bit more. And he's like tracking back more than he is going forward. So I think a lot of players, some players have been restricted under Conte's system, I believe, and I think they would be have better performances if they had a Poch in or an attacking style coaching to get the best out of these players. But it's a difficult one. But obviously Conte's going now. It's inevitable now that he's going to leave, and we just need to it's important that we get this right, this manager right now. You know, to take us forward in these next 3 years. We need to start seeing progression and not regression.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think it's very, very important. I look, you know, we know how the fans have felt over the last 3 years. You know, we're fed up with it. You know, and look, I think it's important for the owners and Daniel Levy to get this right, because if not, you know, there's only going to be more and more and more people on their case. And they've got to remember this also. Like, if they think by sacking Conte that, you know, things are going to change because they sacked Conte and Levy out is going to change and people aren't going to still look at them, I think they're sadly mistaken. I think, you know, people will be looking at them, especially if the next manager doesn't work out. Because I think the more managers you go through, the more people start going, hang on. You can't just keep being the managers. I think it's very important that this next one is right, especially with Kane and Son sort of coming to an end at Tottenham. I think, you know, you gotta have everything in place for when they leave, right?
100%, Dave. That's exactly what I was going to follow up with Kane and Son. They're I mean, Sonny and Kane are at their peak now in their career. You know, so we need to do this really quick now. We need to build a team around them very quick, you know, to get the best out of these two players at this club. So it'd be a crying shame if they don't win a trophy at this club. But yeah, it needs to be the right decision, the right manager going forward, and yeah, man, just onwards and upwards.
I don't know if there's an upwards anymore, Phil. I keep saying it, I keep wanting to believe in it, I keep dreaming about it, but ultimately it's only ever sideways or backwards, isn't it?
But can it get any worse, Dave? You know what I mean? Can it get any worse?
The thing is, it can, you know, we won't be up near the top of the Premier League, you know. I think it will get worse. I think it could definitely get worse for sure.
Let's hope not, eh? Let's hope not.
I'm just fed up. I'm gutted. I'm disillusioned. You know, I'm fed up, to be honest with you, Phil. I'm fed up with it all, you know. I
think most of the fans are, mate, to be honest with you, you know. We're starved of trophies, mate, and every season that goes by we don't win a trophy, it's just more and more gutting, like, you know. But I believe we will get back to where we were playing under Poch, that kind of you know, attacking football, which we have missed at this club. It's with Conte, it's frustrating because he is a win now manager and we ain't a win now club, and you know, it's frustrating we don't have owners that think like Conte and have that passion and desire and ambition to win trophies, you know. And it's frustrating and saddening, really, to see Conte go, because I firmly believe he was the right man for the job at the time. You know, if we had the players that he wanted, you know. And we've fucking missed the boat on it.
I just don't know what I struggle with, Phil, is right. You know, the guy's system is built on defense, right? On defensive stability. So why not go out and
why not? Exactly. Why not? Yeah, that's the strongest position that he starts with in his system. It's the strongest. It's not the weakest link. It's the strongest. So why not get players in where he needs for his system, you know, to work? You know, it's baffling how they don't, you know, don't support him in that and give him the backing for it, like, you know. But
I don't understand it, man. I don't understand it. Just another reason why this club is backwards at this moment in time, my man.
Yeah.
Look, Phil, any last messages to the Spurs fan base out there before we end off, brother?
Well, yeah. I'm just going to say two things, really. It was good to meet Jack.
Great.
You know, at the what game was it? Now? Can't remember. Forest game. Yeah, it was good to meet Jack. It's good to meet you know, all the other lads. Saw Ellie and Alex briefly as well. And Phil P and Ben Kaufman. Yeah, I got to meet all them. The sound, all of them. And it's a shame I didn't get to meet you, like, but maybe next time, man. Maybe next time.
I'm over, my man. I'm going to make sure you're getting down for it. I have to meet you in person, brother.
Yeah,
But look,
definitely. Just another thing as well, just to leave on a positive note as well. There's obviously there was that documentary on Amazon, wasn't there? All or Nothing, is it? That Arsenal had. So if they don't win the league, they're going to have another documentary next season saying all that for nothing. Do you know what I mean? So let's just leave it at that. Yeah.
It's my only hope this season. It's the only thing I can hold on to, that they don't win the league. and it's pathetic, and it's not the way I wanted it to be. But I do hope they bottle it. I really do. But Phil, my man, it's been an absolute pleasure. I'm glad to see you're back on the mend of some sort anyway.
Yeah. It's coming to the end of it now, mate. So yeah, it's all good. It's all good, man.
So we'll see you back on the debate show or a pre-match pump up very soon.
Yeah. Give us a shout, mate. Yeah, definitely. I'm off for the next 12 days now. So just give us a shout, Dave.
Yeah, we'll do. Off for the next 12 days. You're going to regret saying that to me, Phil. Look, probably the right time. So you're not in work checking the news constantly. You're off for it all. So it's probably
That's it, mate. That's it. Yeah, nice one.
Love it. Well, Phil, I'll see you again soon, my man. Really appreciate it.
See you later. Big up, man.
Everyone, big up Phil. Absolutely love that guy. Get in the comments. Big up Phil. But look, that brings us to the end of the fan show. As you can see, many Spurs fans upset, angry, frustrated, disillusioned. And it's just simply not good enough at Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. It's become a far cry from the club that, I really enjoyed under Pochettino, and a club that I sort of watched growing up. Even though we didn't have the best players, we had players that did want to win, players with hunger, players with desire, and winners. I just don't see it here anymore at this moment in time. Something has to change, and look, hopefully it is a permanent appointment over the next few days, rather than someone like Ryan Mason. So let's wait and see. But guys, really appreciate everybody for tuning in today. Really appreciate everyone who has helped support the channel, financially, with memberships, with super chats. Really appreciate everyone who's in the comments engaging with us today. And I really appreciate everyone who's come on today as well. So thank you all. I'm sorry we can't speak in better times. Hopefully they come round soon, because I can tell you now, I'm just about good. I'm just about fed up with it all as well. So, look, come on, you Spurs. I'm going to see you here tomorrow. Everywhere we go.